Namo, everyone please join me. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. A little louder please. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatyade Satarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dear Srila Prabhupada, my exalted God brothers and all of you wonderful devotees who have assembled today for Srila Prabhupada's Tirobhav celebration, I offer my very respectful obeisances to you. When the spiritual master leaves this world, he does not leave completely. He does not leave like an ordinary person. But while leaving, he turns around and enters the heart of his sincere followers. It is maybe for this reason that even after Srila Prabhupada's physical disappearance, the movement goes on which he started, since he is there in the hearts of all of those who sincerely follow him. He is there because they follow his Vani, his instructions. His Vapu, his physical presence, is no longer available, but he is very much available in his Vani. And in the short time which each speaker has, I would like to focus on two instructions, 2 points of Prabhupada's Vani that may be very useful for all of us who are assembled today in this sad and happy occasion. The last time when I personally had Srila Prabhupada's darshan was when he visited the West one more time. He wanted to make a tour through his Western centers to give us strength, but he returned to India after his first station in London. He did not continue to America because he knew he had received his signal from Krishna, and he knew he had only a few more weeks left. So when Prabhupada was in London, he gave one little darshan to a selected group of his Buddhist devotees. And there were about 10 of us in his room. Srila Prabhupada was sitting on a chair which was also a palanquin. It had the facility to be carried. It was a comfortable chair. Because at that time he was already physically weak. He was wearing sunglasses to protect his eyes from the light. And he was very thin, very emaciated. His face looked strong, but his body looked very thin, very weak. He referred to his state at that time. "I'm only skin and bones," he said. So we all came in, and when we saw our beloved spiritual father in this condition, we were startled, we were shocked. Of course, we have all heard about his stay in Vrindavan and how he had repeatedly said that he would go, but it was an impossibility to think that the most beloved person would ever leave. So we were startled, we were shocked. We sat down, all of us, and Prabhupada looked at us, each one, like he did so often when we were in his association. He looked at you, and when he looked at you, you knew he knows everything about you. So he looked at each one of the Sankirtan devotees, and then he asked a question. And I would like, as I repeat his question, that you yourself are trying to answer this question. This was his question. So, his voice was deep. It seemed to come from somewhere else. So, have you understood our philosophy? Is the question clear? Have you understood our philosophy? Prabhupada looked at us and he wanted to have an answer. So devotees gave various answers from the scriptures. Finally, one devotee, Prabhupada was not satisfied. Finally, one devotee said, Yaredeko Torikaho Krishna Upadesh. Upadesh means the message of Krishna. Spread it everywhere. Prabhupada became animated. He said, what is that message? He didn't say it like this, so high. I only say it so that you wake up. But he asked the question, so what is Krishna's message? Have you understood our philosophy? What is that message? When Prabhupada asked us such questions, we became a little numb. And then he gave the answer. Listen very carefully. First of all, you have to understand that life is eternal. In the Bhagavad-Gita, he has repeated this. He said, the foundation of Krishna consciousness is to understand that the soul is different from the body. No, we are not this body. So this is the foundation on which your spiritual life and the movement is built. First of all, you have to understand that life is eternal. Srila Prabhupada kept that message. He would repeat it again and again and yet again. Another message of Srila Prabhupada was very much related to the main process that helps you to understand yourself as an eternal soul and helps you to understand Krishna. Prabhupada said this is done through the chanting of the holy name. When his health was very, very bad, Srila Prabhupada, it was foretold that his life was up to 81 years and 4 months approximately. So he came to that number, and one astrologer who was there here in Vrindavan and saw the devotees in this precarious situation that Srila Prabhupada could now leave at any moment, he recommended to do the Maha Mrityum Japa. You know, Om Trayambakam Jajamahe Sugandim Pushti Vardhanam. This mantra. It is a mantra chanted to Lord Shiva, the Lord of Shani, who brings inauspicious things into your life. And when you chant this mantra, it's longer than that, what will happen is that the influence of Shani will be reduced and removed. So he said Prabhupada should chant this very powerful mantra. And the astrologer said, your life is only 81 and 4 months approximately. It's now time to chant this mantra and ask Shiva to prolong the life. No? You remember, Shiva prolonged the life of the young Markandeya, who became later Markandeya Rishi or Markandeya Muni. Shiva can prolong life. So listen to Prabhupada's answer now. Prabhupada said, the astrologer said, do Maha Mrityum Japa. Your life is coming to the end. And Prabhupada answered, so Japa is Maha Mantra Japa. No other Japa of any other mantra. So Japa is Maha Mantra Japa. You know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. In all situations, Prabhupada made this point. Even at the end of life, even when we are facing death, this is our japa. And he added something. Listen, because these are his last instructions. Very important. If you want to be together with him, you need to understand and do. No? So he said, so japa is Mahamantra japa and Bhagavata. So either read Bhagavata or chant Hare Krishna. And let me lie down like this. That's all. As it is going on. 2 things. Hare Krishna and daily Bhagavatam. These 2 things will be very important. Hare Krishna Mahamantra alone is also better than not at all, but only if you read the Bhagavatam will you know who is Krishna, and your japa of chanting will come to the proper address. You will be mindful of Krishna. You understand, oh, Krishna is so merciful. Oh, Krishna protected the cowherd voice from Kaliya's poison, oh, Krishna will also protect me against the poison of Kali Yuga. So, japa of Hare Krishna and knowing who is Krishna from the Bhagavatam, these are the two processes. Finally, if Shruti Kirti does not throw me off the seat, I would like to. How long am I? Maybe I should not. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Our timekeeper says 2 minutes. Good. Finally, I would like to share with you something very endearing that took place when Srila Prabhupada was just about to disappear. Giriraj Maharaj had written a prayer, and he read the prayer, and when Prabhupada listened to this prayer, he was deeply moved and transcendentally enlivened, and he said two things: print this in Back to Godhead, and a second thing which I will tell you at the end of the prayer. So Giriraj started to read his prayer. My dear Lord Krishna, you are known as Yogeshvara, the master of all mystic powers. So it is very easy for you to perform the impossible, as you have done many times in the past. By your merciful glance, you restored life to the boys and the cows who had died by drinking the water of the Jamuna river, which was poisoned by Kaliya. And my dear Lord Krishna, you swallowed the devastating forest fire to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan. In the rasa dance, you expanded yourself to be simultaneously present by the side of each gopi. And as Guru Dakshin, you recovered the dead son of your teacher. So the prayer continues. And then finally, oh Krishna, from these examples we can understand that for you the impossible is not difficult, but rather you have performed so many impossible feats for your devotees. Therefore, if you desire, please give Srila Prabhupada a new body. Prabhupada was deeply moved and transcendentally enlivened. And he said, excellent, print and Back to Godhead. And then he said, turning to Giriraj Maharaj, he may agree to your prayer, yes. It was Krishna's plan to bring Prabhupada to us. It was Krishna's plan to bring Prabhupada to his side. But it was also Krishna's plan, like the prayer here is, to give Prabhupada a new body. And the new body, so to say, in an analogical way or metaphor way, is that all those who sincerely follow Prabhupada's Vani, they will feel how Prabhupada comes into their heart, into their lives, into their bodies, and they will be able to serve Srila Prabhupada and do eventually all the things which he had in his mission to save many, many, many souls in Kali Yuga. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shishi Gaurnitai ki, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
Ajnana-timirandhasya jnananjana-shalakaya chakshur-unmilitam ena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki. On disappearance days or during such festival, disappearance festival, Srila Prabhupada appears more. This is my experience. And thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for that. We don't want Srila Prabhupada to disappear. Is that a good idea? Let Srila Prabhupada disappear and then have a celebration. We want Prabhupada. We want. We want. We want. Srila Prabhupada ki. We want Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted us. So seeing a large gathering here, we are house full. I do not have to say that Srila Prabhupada is pleased to see large gathering like this today. Yeah, those were the days, and the gathering is, majority of you have Indian bodies, so from India. So Indians were not coming forward. So many misunderstandings. Angrez ka mandir, this is Angrez ka mandir, and they are CIAs, and they are hippies, Dhammarodham, and whatnot. So they were not joining. I remember those days, Juhu, Hare Krishna land, and I had one-on-one talk with Srila Prabhupada. I was with Prabhupada, and anyway, so that time Prabhupada said to me, we need more men like you. Anyway, what he meant, that's not important. You is not important. We need more men like Gopal Krishna Maharaj. We need more men like Bhakti Charu Maharaj. We need more men like Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj. And more and more and more. So it wasn't happening those days, but now finally it is happening. It has happened. So Prabhupada is certainly pleased. I am pleased. We are pleased. So what Prabhupada has done for the world, for all of us, we could only say we are indebted to you, Srila Prabhupada. Yes? No? Could you say we are indebted to you, Srila Prabhupada? Not very. We are indebted to you, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, one time some disciples were talking like that to Prabhupada. We are indebted to you, Srila Prabhupada. And there were also inquiries, is there anything we could do to become free from this debt? And first response was, no, nothing you could do to become free from such debt. So there was a pause, and then Prabhupada said, yes, one thing you could do. What is that, Srila Prabhupada? You do as I did. So I cannot now unpack the meaning of what is this you do, what as I did. So you know what Prabhupada did, or you should find out more and more what Prabhupada did. And then we should be doing the way Prabhupada did things. Yeah, basically, he founded this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and he propagated Krishna consciousness, made Krishna available worldwide by distribution of his books or chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Prasad distribution, organization of festivals and temple openings and farms and Gurukul schools and this and that. There's a long list. You do as I did. So if we could take some kind of sankalp on this occasion, you don't have to utter, there's no time to go through all this back and forth. But within your mind, if you could take a vow, yes, you do as I did. You could say maybe quickly, Prabhupada, we will do as you did. We'll be following in your footsteps. Okay. So, and during last days, one of the things, it's like a will of Prabhupada. He also said that if you love me, or he would like to see the love, and how would we show our love for Prabhupada? How you cooperate with each other. If you cooperate with each other, then there's expression of your love for Prabhupada. And cooperation for what? To keep this institution together after I am gone. He also added that. So Prabhupada has physically left. In some sense, he's gone and his institution is here. So to protect this institution, or to cooperate to protect this institution, is our obligation. We should be thinking more about this, how I could cooperate to protect this institution given by Srila Prabhupada. So anyway, we are missing Srila Prabhupada like anything. Not as much as Narottam Das Thakur, Anilo Prema Dhana, that song is so. That spirit of Narottam Das Thakur, of missing Vaishnavas and expressing the feelings of separation. So at least we feel to great extent something like that, as Narottam Das Thakur has said. So then I was thinking that I don't know. As we are celebrating Prabhupada's disappearance year after year, his disciples are also disappearing, and so we don't know. I don't know how long I will be here to celebrate Prabhupada's disappearance days. But I also was thinking that I could have a reunion meeting with Srila Prabhupada again. I'm looking forward to that time, that I'll be back with Srila Prabhupada, with Prabhupada again. Only thing that is keeping me away from that is this body. So when body is finished, I could be back with Gauranga and Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, before cow makes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please accept me, Srila Prabhupada, in your service. Please keep engaging this soul in your service forever.
Jnana Tirandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshurmritamina Tasmai Shri Rave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulum Ranghayate Grim Sigurum Dhanataranam. This, as my Garblers have said, this is also a sad occasion, but yet it is the opportunity for us to rededicate ourselves in a manner that would please Srila Prabhupada, just as we honor him on his appearance day in Vyas Puja. There's a certain reflection that must take place in order for us to consider ourselves the followers of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada gave many instructions in this regard. Some are more important than others. He would often say that you should not try to see Krishna, but you should act in such a way that Krishna sees you. So as followers of Srila Prabhupada's mood, as well as his mission, we try to take that as well to mean that we should act in such a way that Srila Prabhupada sees us. Not that we act whimsically or capriciously, but that the mission expands by our sincerity. And Prabhupada also gave that very important instruction in Mayapur. In the pastime, Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev, he said that seniority is not important. He said sincerity is important. So this is because all the demigods, they failed to appease Lord Nrsingadev. They were afraid. They had some fear. Prabhupada said it is like pushing a child into the cage of a lion. And so when they all failed in that respect, then he declared, therefore, it is not by seniority, it is by sincerity. So this is the very important instruction, at least at that time I took it, that one should be above all things sincere, because that will keep him honest in his relationship with the spiritual master. Because if he cannot be honest in that relationship, then he cannot act. And Prabhupada also said that. And it's at that same time, he said, show bottle will not act. So we should be very careful not to. And why was Prabhupada giving these instructions? He was only speaking to his disciples. Yet these words reverberate even 50 years later. That we should be very careful. He said, show bottle will not act. So we have to concentrate on our own sadhana and not be so concerned with the those of sadhana of others. This is a great sad situation that one does not concentrate on his own pursuit of pleasing the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee, but that he somehow or other becomes distracted. So this, I'm very honored somehow or other to represent Srila Prabhupada somehow in his New York mission at different times. And the famous story that Pancharatna Prabhu tells us is that when he went to Mayapur, he had a meeting with Srila Prabhupada, and simultaneously Madhavisa Maharaj, who was being sent to New York to be the temple president, was also in that meeting. And Prabhupada said to him one thing, and I hope my godbrothers don't mind this little plug for New York. So Prabhupada asked the two of them, he said, what is our most important project? And of course, Pancharatna Prabhu had come to Mayapur to serve the project with the master planning. And so he remarked, he said, Srila Prabhupada, Mayapur is your most important project. And then he looked at Madhavisa Maharaj, and he said, no, New York is our most important project. It was very interesting that he said like that at that time. So many instructions are there, and sometimes we get the opportunity to serve within those instructions. So we have to consider ourselves very fortunate and just in time. So please, let us all remember Srila Prabhupada in such a way that encourages us and enthuses us to pursue this mission more and more vigorously. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Now is the 44th year that we're celebrating this Viraha Vifala, intense feelings of separation from Srila Prabhupada. And when his spiritual master left this world, 22 years later, Srila Prabhupada wrote what he called Viraha Astakam. It was 8 stanzas, and each stanza had 8 lines in it. And Prabhupada poured out his heart in this Bengali poem, how much he was feeling separation from his spiritual master. He said, Jiver Darada Duki, Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada, you are personally suffering because of the sufferings of all the living entities. Viraha Vasare Tava, on this day of your anniversary of your disappearance, he expressed that this avasada, heri avasada, I only see depression and despondency. Now, on one side, of course, we're also feeling despondent at Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, and each year that despondency increases. And then Prabhupada, he expressed why he was feeling depressed. He started with Nityananda Prabhu, that he made the channel of the flood of love of Godhead and spread that to every door to door, all over the world. And Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati, after the Jati Gosais, blocked up that flood, dammed it with the materialistic activities and ceremonies for the materialists. First, Advaita Charya, he prayed that Gauranga Mahaprabhu appear. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed that Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati appear. And he appeared and broke open those floodgates so that we could all receive that deluge of love of Godhead. This love of Godhead is practiced by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati through practical chanting and preaching, through the Sankirtan movement, by spreading the holy name all over the world. He sent his disciples and he personally preached all over India. And that way he was able to make, through this Sankirtan process, in every home a temple. So this was the practical method. Utility is the principle that Srila Prabhupada imbibed from his spiritual master. Because everything that we find in ISKCON is coming from his spiritual master, from his inspiration. But then Prabhupada began his lamentation that the essential purport was neglected. Which purport was that? That was in the Bhagavad-Gita, when Krishna starts his instructions, 241. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. And he describes that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado yasya prasadana gati kutopi. Unless we have single-purposed, resolute determination to serve the order of the spiritual master, then everything becomes scattered. Our buddhi becomes avasyasatmika buddhi. So this purport, we all have to remember how we become single-purposed in serving the order of Srila Prabhupada. Because this instruction was forgotten, then the disciples lost their empowerment. Now the spiritual master, he gives us the holy name. Srila Prabhupada, he gave us the holy name and empowered us to preach that holy name all over the world. But then Prabhupada explained that one jackal, he disempowered the disciples by trying to grab all the power of his spiritual master's mission. And that way the other disciples became insulated and stopped their preaching. This disempowerment comes when we stop the Sankirtan movement, when we take to such things that both Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu did not instruct, which is Nirjan Bhajan. They all instructed the same thing, which was Sankirtan, the spreading of the holy name all over the world. Because through the Sankirtan movement, that way everyone can become liberated. So Prabhupada said that this jackal of a disciple, later Puna Mushika Bhavaha, he fell down because he tried to grab the power of this empowerment of the spiritual master. And he said that the lion cub was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's mission. It was tricked by this jackal and ensnared and trapped. So we have to be very, very careful that everyone, every single one of us, receives that empowerment to spread the holy name all over the world. Because if not, we lose that ability to help the jivas come out of this snare of Maya. Then Prabhupada lamented that then your mission was scattered. Scattered in the sense that just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he made a beautiful garden. And because of the not taking the full instructions of their spiritual master, that garden was destroyed. So the only solution Prabhupada gives in the next to last stanza is the pure devotional process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had tactics how to engage everyone in devotional service by Desha, Kala, and Patra. And we know how expert Srila Prabhupada was in that. And he learned that from his spiritual master as well. How each one of us, according to our own characteristics, Prabhupada was able to engage us. And that is the pure process of devotional service. Then in Prabhupada's final stanza, he prays that if only you could come again and recharge us with the Sankirtan movement to spread Hare Krishna all over the world. Then it would be possible. So that prayer for our spiritual master to return again, that should always remain with us. And Prabhupada signed, Deen Hina Kangala, that I am completely destitute, I'm poor, I'm fallen, but I'm just praying that I can remain resolute in my service to you by following your instructions and not scatter and not fall away. So my time is up. My prayer is to Srila Prabhupada that we can all remain resolute, follow his instructions, and carry on this Sankirtan movement all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the 44th disappearance. We say disappearance anniversary. But I see at all these festivals that actually I see Prabhupada appearing. Because I never imagined I would see a hall filled like this with devotees. Prabhupada is appearing at each one of you. And I feel so glad that I see Prabhupada's movement is expanding. And I feel so unhappy that I see so much fighting going on between the Vaishnavas. And we pray. It's like Khetri festival time. There was so much division amongst the Vaishnavas. But Ma Janava came and she managed to reconcile all of the Vaishnavas and make a unified Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we're just praying that that will come about. Especially on this appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, we're praying that all the devotees unite together and serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And many of you are thinking that you persons, you were able to see Prabhupada directly. You were able to hear him directly. We are so unfortunate we never saw Prabhupada. We could never hear Prabhupada. But you should not think like that. I was told by one godbrother who's no longer in this world, Kartikeya, so you won't find his memory tapes anywhere, you won't find this in any books. But he personally shared this memory with me. Because Kartikeya, he was a very, very sensitive devotee, bhavuk. And he was Prabhupada's servant, especially his cook. And he gave Prabhupada massage one time. And Prabhupada said there's two types. There's just like the ironsmith. Bam! One big wallop. Bam! So when I do not have time, you give me ironsmith massage. And there's the goldsmith. Ting, 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 ting. When I have time, you give me goldsmith massage. He says, oh, Prabhupada, you always deserve goldsmith massage. Srila Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna. But he told me one story. One time they were in Hawaii. This story will encourage you. And with Prabhupada, and my very old dear God sister Govinda Dasi, who introduced Tulsi Puja in ISKCON. So, one day Govinda Dasi came from the store, market, and she brought wheat germ. Now, I never met anybody from India who understands what wheat germ is. In the West, we know. But it's a wheat product, but it's not the suji. But it's very, very healthy. It's the part that, the two little leaves that are germinating inside the seed. So, therefore it's called wheat germ. So, Kartikeya saw that. He says, next time Swamiji, this is old days, next time Swamiji asks for halava, I'm going to make it with the wheat germ instead of the suji. And Swamiji will be so pleased. So one day it rained. And it was a little cold. So when it's cold, Prabhupada like halava. It's full of ghee and grains. It makes you nice and warm inside. So he told Kartikeya, you make halava. So Kartikeya, he said, I'm going to make it with this wheat germ, and Swamiji will be so pleased. And the whole time he was cooking with this bhav. That Swamiji will be so pleased. Then he brought it in a little silver bowl into Prabhupada's room. And Prabhupada took one look. What is this? What is this? Halava means suji. Halava means suji. And with his left hand, take it out, take it out. So he was a very sensitive person. He didn't know what to do. So he sat in the temple room in front of the picture of Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, I was just trying to please your spiritual son, Srila Prabhupada, but he's so upset with me. Now I don't know what to do. And he was crying. Suddenly he heard Prabhupada's voice, Kartikeya, Kartikeya, bring that halava. So he brought it in. Prabhupada ate it like this. He said, bring more. Prabhupada finished off the whole pot. Kartikeya said he learned two things from this. One is he went to Bhaktisiddhanta's picture. That behind Prabhupada there's a whole chain of spiritual masters up to Krishna, pulling us out of this deep, dark material world. Not only that, Prabhupada always said, this is another thing, his realization, that the grandfather is more merciful than the father. The grandfather is more merciful than the father. So you all have Prabhupada as your grandfather spiritual master. He'll be more merciful to you than to us. Srila Prabhupada ki!
Mukam karati vachalam bhangam langa tegirim yakipaptaham vande sigurum tinacharanam. Well, I was searching for a guru in 1970, and I met the disciples. I said, what is your process? They said, you chant, you dance, you eat. I said, okay, I'll try. And I said, so if I do this, what can I expect to achieve? And they said, you will see God face to face. I said, that's nice, because the last guru told me I will be God. But that didn't work, so I'd rather see God than be God. And so they told me, stay for the weekend, and because Prabhupada is coming. So I stayed for the weekend, but Prabhupada didn't come. Instead, he sent 4 sannyasis. One of those sannyasis was Vishnu Jan Maharaj. And we went on Harinam day and night. And after the Harinam, I said, I'm so happy, why should I go back home? So I went home and said goodbye to my husband, and I joined the temple. He joined 2 months later. So yeah, that was good. But not only me, about 4 or 5 different people, they never went back home that weekend. And so Prabhupada was very merciful that even though he didn't come, he gave me the push I needed to join the temple. I was hesitating to be a devotee. Prabhupada gave me that push. Even if he didn't come, he just said he was coming, and that was enough. So then in 72, Prabhupada asked for 50 devotees to go to India. We were chosen. We got a one-way ticket. Because Prabhupada said go, he didn't say go back. So we went, and we stayed. And we were in Calcutta, Pujaris. And Prabhupada loved the deity worship there because we had so many flowers. We had 50 garlands every day. I used to change the flowers 5 times a day. So behind the deities, we had Gaur Radha Govinda, one side, Jagannath, other side. So there was an open window. The bees used to come into the deities. Radha Govinda bumblebees would come and sit on the lotus flowers. We had 144 lotus flowers every day. And then on Jagannath's side, small bees would come and sit on the garlands, just like it says in Bhagavatam, in Vaikuntha. So when Prabhupada saw the bees coming, he said, Krishna is pleased with the worship. But sometimes he would chastise us also. One time he said, why are the ghee lamps so dirty? We had these big ghee lamps, and they were always burning because we didn't have electricity much in Calcutta. So yeah, then we don't, then Prabhupada chastised it. We want to run away, but you can't, and you have to take it. But mostly he praised the deity worship. In one darshan arti, Prabhupada was coming from Mayapur, sitting on the Vyasasan, surrounded by about 10 sannyasis. And after darshan arti, he called my husband and I up and said, thank you very much for dressing the deity so nicely. So afterwards, one sannyasi said, did you hear what Prabhupada said when you offered obeisances? And we said, no. Prabhupada said, be blessed. I thought, wow, now my life is perfect. We're going to go back to Godhead. But then the next day, I thought, well, okay, I got the blessing yesterday. I have to earn it again today. So I didn't retire at the age of 27. I'm still here trying to get the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is still with us now, as the other speakers have said. 1994, I was in Vrindavan, 93. In 94, I was praying for some service. I didn't know what service am I going to do. So I was reading Prabhupada's books, chanting japa, trying to chant attentively. And then after 3 months, I thought, I should share what I'm reading. I got that inspiration, and devotees were encouraging me also. But I thought, I need some more personal instruction, some sign from Prabhupada. So I went into Prabhupada's samadhi, and there was a tape lecture of Prabhupada playing. Prabhupada said, do you think the deity is made of stone? I looked at Prabhupada, I said, no, Prabhupada, you're here, I know. But I want some more personal instruction. So I went to Prabhupada's house, and I found a letter on Prabhupada's desk. And that letter said, now you are one of my senior disciples, and I'm depending on you. You have learned the art of Krishna consciousness. You should teach it purely for the benefit of others. So I thought, okay, this is the sign. And I thought, okay, Prabhupada gave me an order, but how am I going to do this? Ladies, 1994, ladies were not allowed to speak in the temple, no Gita class, and Vaichi was for men's Bhakti Shastri. So I thought, okay, I have to do it. So outside in the house I was staying, I was starting Gita class. People were coming. But the chowkidar said, no, you can't have people coming here. This is a private house. So then I went to the roof of the Krishna Balaram guest house. And I was teaching up there. for 1 year. And then I got a place behind MBT and taught for 2 more years. And after 3 years of trying to follow the order, VIHE opened for women, and I was able to teach in the VIHE. So I'll just say one thing. If you don't get facility, make facility. You got the order of the spiritual master, just do it. And Krishna will help you. There's no impediment. Bhagavatam says, ahaituki apratihata, nothing can stop you. Just do it. Follow the order of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Om Gyan Tivrindasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilitanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dhati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Hare Krishna. So, today we are celebrating Prabhupada's Disappearance Day. But, frankly, you don't feel that Prabhupada has disappeared. But Prabhupada is present in his books, tapes, instructions. Prabhupada used to say, I never felt that I'm away from my spiritual master. And Prabhupada dedicates the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto to his spiritual master and says, he lives forever by divine instructions and the follower lives with him. So if we stick to Prabhupada's instructions, meditate on what he instructed, then you'll always feel Prabhupada's presence. So Srila Prabhupada gave us the pure message of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada was always strict in following in the parampara. In New York, when they were discussing what name should be given to the society that Prabhupada was trying to establish, many people said, some of his followers said, we call it International Society for God Consciousness. Prabhupada said, no, you should be specific. And the name, he said, Krishna is God, and we should be specific. So Prabhupada showed us that we should not compromise, and we should be strict in following the instructions of the parampara. So Srila Prabhupada's glory is continuing to expand. It's so nice to see that congregation preaching in India and many other parts of the world is increasing rapidly. And Prabhupada has a great desire that the Indians take to Krishna consciousness. Before going to the West, Prabhupada was struggling, and still he did not get discouraged. Prabhupada used to reside in Anandamayi temple, and he would travel to Delhi, a third-class compartment, just to print his books, and then eventually distribute his books. Prabhupada gave a lot of emphasis to book printing and book distribution. So recently, as some of you may know, the government of India released a commemorative coin honoring Prabhupada. Have all of you seen this coin? And this is the case, and this is the coin. So, on the one side is written, Bharat, India, and on the other side, you have a picture of Prabhupada with his birth being 1896, and this year we are celebrating 125 years of Prabhupada appearing on the planet. So we had a big function, and the Prime Minister gave a very powerful talk praising Prabhupada. He said how Prabhupada was the true ambassador of Vedic culture. Prabhupada took Krishna consciousness to every corner of the globe. And what was interesting was, the Prime Minister said, I tell my bureaucrats they should study how ISKCON has expanded. It's funny, the Prime Minister telling us that. And because in India, the Prime Minister has been pushing Made in India theme for businesses. And so the Prime Minister said in his speech, I tell my bureaucrats, see how ISKCON has expanded. Swamiji went with 40 rupees, and now there are branches all over the world. So he said, why can't we start industry in India and then expand it all over the world? So he gave a very nice speech praising Prabhupada. He praised Prabhupada for taking Vedic culture all over the world. He praised Prabhupada for translating so many books. So it's nice to see that Prabhupada's glories are expanding. And as book distribution expands, as the preaching expands, Prabhupada's glory is also expanding. Recently, we started the Bhagavad-Gita marathon. Previously, we were just doing Bhagavad-Gita marathons. And now, more and more families are having sets. Prabhupada wrote in a letter that I want that every household should have Srimad Bhagavatam said and Chaitanya Charitamrita said. So this year, we had a marathon to distribute Bhagavatam sets. And in this marathon, the Indian temples distributed 27,000 sets of the Bhagavatam. Last year, it was less than half. We have seen over time that Prabhupada's desires and instructions always get realized if we make the effort. So the devotees are making the effort, and they never even dreamt that in 1 month they'll be able to do 27,000 sets. So everything we need to know is there in Prabhupada's books. And there is no need to read or go outside of ISKCON to know anything. So Prabhupada is still on the planet, and as long as we enthusiastically follow his instructions, we will feel Prabhupada's presence. Prabhupada is present in his instructions. And Prabhupada's instructions can be followed by everyone. Prabhupada's books present the philosophy very purely, and Prabhupada showed us how one should be determined to follow the Guru's instructions. So we need to keep expanding Prabhupada's movement. We need to preach more, and that will increase Prabhupada's glory more and more. As all of you have seen, many temples in India, and the congregation is increasing. This is all due to devotees presenting Prabhupada's pure teachings. And Prabhupada's teachings can be practiced in any part of the world. So Srila Prabhupada is present, and we'll feel his presence by following his instruction. And Srila Prabhupada had a great desire that the Vedic culture go to every corner of the globe. And lately, you'll be pleased to know that even in Pakistan, in Urdu language, we have printed, a lot of printing is going on. And now you have in Urdu, 4th canto is already printed. And our devotees there, 2 years ago, were able to get the government of Pakistan to sponsor the printing of 5,000 Krishna books and 5,000 Bhagavad-Gita. So, because Prabhupada presented these books in a very impressive format. Prabhupada once said in Vrindavan, I gave him one of the new books, he said, our books are quality inside and quality outside. That means the content is pure and is presented in a very nice manner. So our request to all the assembled Vaishnavas is we should have full faith and confidence in everything that Prabhupada gave us, and we should preach by example. And if we preach by example, we inspire people to also take to Krishna consciousness. And this is the solution. The philosophy that Prabhupada has given us is meant for entire humanity. So on this auspicious day, we should dedicate ourselves to Prabhupada's teachings with full confidence that everything we need to know is in Prabhupada's books. And if we read and practice, then you will feel Prabhupada's presence everywhere. Sometimes devotees say, oh, we were not so lucky we didn't have Prabhupada's association. But I usually tell them, you read Prabhupada's books and follow his instructions, you will feel Prabhupada's presence all the time. So, on this auspicious day, it's nice it gives us an opportunity to hear Prabhupada's glories from different Vaishnavas. This year, we don't see a heavy influx of foreign devotees, mainly because of COVID. And therefore you see this year, by and large, the audience is 99% Indian. Usually, when COVID wasn't there, we used to have more people from the whole world. So Prabhupada's preaching should expand, and it is expanding due to the efforts of his followers. So Prabhupada ki
हिंदी में बोलूं कि अंग्रेजी में? तो जिसके पास हाथ है पहले सब लोग हाथ उठाओ एक बार. हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चाद्देशतारिणे. गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So today is very very special day. मैं अंग्रेजी में बोलूँगा, आधा हिंदी आधा अंग्रेजी. So Prabhupada has given a lot to us, and over and above everything is there in his instruction. We don't need to go outside to find what we need to do. Just we need to go back to his book to read again and again and again and again. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he writes that I have translated all these books. He gave the name of the different books. For all of you, for the devotees of Krishna consciousness moment to read. If you don't read these books, then you will simply waste your time in eating, sleeping, mating and depending. Thus, you will miss the opportunity of going back home, back to Godhead. So, of course, we have been hearing about distribute book. But Prabhupada also wanted us to read book. So in India, our leader, we had a meeting of ICC, of all the leader. Because there are many congregations here, so just I wanted to tell what was decided. Month of December is book distribution month. Earlier month of January used to be life membership marathon month. But this year we are going to dedicate month of January for the marathon for reading Srila Prabhupada books. Distributing his books is very, very important. Reading does not mean will not distribute. Reading means will get more energy to distribute his books. Once, His Holiness Akhanand Swami Maharaj, he was the president of ISKCON Vrindavan, it was 1977. He told me a story that once a new copy of Bhagavatam had just arrived in Vrindavan. And it was on Prabhupada's table. Prabhupada went to washroom, and when he came back, then he found that book was missing. Book was not there. So he called Akhanand Swami from his office. Maharaj came running, and Prabhupada asked him, "Where is the book? It was on my table. Where is the book?" And Prabhupada was a little upset and angry. Akhanand Swami did not know what to say. He said, "Prabhupada, I was in my office." Then Prabhupada said, "What kind of president you are? My book is missing from here." By that time, Akhanand Swami said he was almost in tears. For two different reasons. One is that Prabhupada is upset, and second, his book is stolen. Then after some time, Prabhupada smiled, and he told him, "Don't worry. You boys and girls going out on the street to distribute my books, I am sitting here and distributing my books." This means people like my book. So it's true. People like Srila Prabhupada's books. People are looking for this knowledge. It's just not available anywhere. What is there in Prabhupada's books? Believe me, if you read it, you will know it. So I will humbly beg to all of the assembled devotees, the real offering to Srila Prabhupada will be to read his book from page to page and distribute his book. That will be the real glorification of Srila Prabhupada on his divine disappearance day. And as Dinabandhu Prabhu said, at disappearance day I become happy. It's the appearance day of Prabhupada. That's true. He has appeared in his body, which is there for us. Bapu has a limitation, but body has no limitation. It will unfold as you become pure. Each word. Other thing, Prabhupada said, there are devotees, there are temples, only time is separating. But now the time has come, and we can see so many devotees. This year after lockdown, only 25% devotee has come. International devotee did not come. Half India did not come. Wherever we go, whether we go on railway station, airport, bus stand, everywhere you'll find somebody with tilak and kanti. Devotees are there. Once I was traveling, and one man, I don't know which airport, somewhere, he asked me, "How can I become like you?" Means people, they want to become devotee, they want to become sadhu. So I gave him the address of the local temple and I told him you should go and purchase Bhagavad-Gita and read, then you'll become like me. So there are enough customers out there. Just we have to go out and preach. Other thing, Srila Prabhupada said, this is my home. Vrindavan is Prabhupada's home. So all the devotees who come here in Vrindavan, you have come to your father or grandfather or great-grandfather home. But unfortunately, the temple hall is very small. I know many devotees could not come in front because management has reserved in front only for elderly devotee, senior devotees, sannyasi. Many devotees could not even enter in temple hall. Kindly forgive us. And we will make arrangement that everybody will get proper darshan of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, your dear son, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, has built 13-14 center, started 13-14 temple and center in Delhi. Should we not have 4-5 center here in Braj? How many of you want to have more center in Braj? Raise your hand. Like we can have one in Barsana, one is Govardhan or Radhakund, one is Gokul, one is Kambanya. Today devotees are everywhere. You go to Mathura, go to Nandgaon, go to Gokul. Only 25% devotee here. More devotees are out there also. They are celebrating Prabhupada Disappearance Day. So if we have center, other places also, then all ISKCON devotee will feel at home in Prabhupada's home. So I am going to propose this thing. Tomorrow we have BEB meeting, and I am, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, some or other it just came in my head. I am inspired to propose BEB to have 4 other center. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj is hearing. I have to get the money from him anyway. So 4 center we should have more. How many of you want to see 4 center more? Please raise your hand. Oh, I asked wrong question. How many of you do not want to have 4 center? Everybody wants, right? So all of you are ready to help us, right? So we will look for your help. We will approach you. But this is my offering to Srila Prabhupada, that at his home, how can we take care of all of you, as well as many more who want to come. I am sure Srila Prabhupada is with us. His instruction is with us. So we should try to do our best to serve Srila Prabhupada by taking care of devotee who comes here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpataruvasya kripa sindhu vaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Today's very auspicious occasion. We are very fortunate to be in Vrindavan, all of us. You know, when you make the building, every atom, every small particle of dust is very, very important, playing the role. So, one should not feel, as some of the Vaishnavas said, there is nothing like seniority and sincerity. Everyone is a soldier of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada had a very big army, but army should not be weak. All the soldier has to play his role in a most efficient manner. When I'm coming from Surat, 1971, Srila Prabhupada, 70s, December end and in the beginning of 71, he visited Surat city for 21 days. Unfortunately, it happened that in our society, his program was organized and I had his glorious darshan at that time. I felt myself that I'm blessed by his simply eyesight. When Guru glare or Guru's blessings can be spread in any manner, one should not think that most of you nowadays feel, oh, we are so unfortunate we haven't seen Prabhupada. No. Seeing Prabhupada is not with these eyes or not with the vision of our mind. Seeing Prabhupada with our pure consciousness. Forget about the heart. Heart is also a chief word to see Srila Prabhupada. Consciousness. That is very important. Nowadays, basically in the Shastra, we say surrendering, dedication. These are so words become so cheap. But like loyalty, dedication, then the sincerity, all these words sounds like a big mountain in our daily routine life or our understanding and the fighting with the Kali Yuga's fangs, so many things. But when we have a simple heart, like a small child, Prabhupada says, these children do not go in the corner and talk every day or now and then that what our parents are going to give us, feed us, or clothing, or this or that. We have to have a very simple heart, like a small child, in front of our spiritual master as well as Krishna. So all we require is a very simple heart which brings all different qualities. When we heard so many lectures in his presence, we spent 4 days in Chicago with Srila Prabhupada and 3 days in Detroit and 2 days in Los Angeles. Last trip in 76. So the point is, it's not that with his personal association only you can get the potency of him or blessings or, understanding. No. It is our enthusiasm to render the service to our Guru. Many of our devotees nowadays, they jump over, go to Krishna directly and become a bhajan. They have to do the bhajan in a dham. Prabhupada left the dham and went back to the hellish condition of the whole world. And he is so compassionate that he wanted to liberate everyone. So, some of our Vaishnavas, Prabhu said that bhajan, it should go simultaneously with your services. Do not think that bhajan is the only means to reach to Krishna or please Guru or we become more purified. No, we have to render. Prabhupada throughout his life, he has rendered services in so many different fields, keeping his mind fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Seeing Prabhupada means seeing with our pure consciousness. Actually, early in the morning, getting up, our strict sadhana must be there. When someone sees us, then we have to represent ourselves in that way that, oh, we are representing our spiritual master. There cannot be any compromise. If someone sees and, oh, you are Prabhupada's disciple, or you are such and such disciple, or you are behaving like this, you are dressing like this. No. It is very shameful. So, we don't want our spiritual master to look down because of our misbehavior. Anybody can see. Nowadays, everybody is seeing us. Tilak, this, Kanthi, simply, they don't see this is a Gaudiya Sampradaya. They don't see this is such and such disciple. Simply they remember Prabhupada, that this is a Prabhupada's disciple. Bear in mind, you may not realize this. I went long back in South India and the Shungeri Mutt, and that Acharya said, just seeing at me, oh Prabhupada, you are from Prabhupada. Oh, that day I realized myself, oh what a title and what a dressing. Prabhupada has given to us identification. You don't need any other identification to go back to Vaikuntha. The doors are open for us, all of us. So we require that dedication by consciousness. You have to be always aware. I'm not displeasing him in my any behavior. I'm telling you, seeing him is not so easy, but seeing Prabhupada, we have to see him with our pure heart. We are representing him, and that's why Hare Krishna. Yeah, I'm bringing short. So I'm begging all of you that please shower the mercy upon all of us, that both of us, my husband is also there, our family is there. Family means our project, all the devotees, that we can go on rendering more and more services to him and make our life successful. Hare Krishna.
Here is Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarane. Srila Prabhupada ki! Srila Prabhupada, as the years and decades go by, it seems that more and more of those uncountable and immeasurable glories of yours become revealed, just like brilliantly colored jewels glittering on a white sandy beach. I think it is true for all of us that this seems to happen, especially when we attempt to really serve you nicely, even though that seva, at least in my case, is factually, literally overflowing with faults. Yet, still your glory, and I believe the greatest manifestation of that glory, is your causeless, sweet, loving mercy. And this is astonishingly revealed more and more. As His Holiness Bhakti Brihat Bhagavat Swami came up to me just after Guru Puja this morning and said to me, perhaps you should speak something about Arabic book distribution. I feel that I have been given not only encouragement, but a special permission to do so, both from Maharaj and also through Maharaj. The example I wish to give of your glories, Srila Prabhupada, from my own humble BBT service to you, which, if I didn't mention it, this service is full of faults. The example I wish to give has to do with a literal miracle happening right now in Germany and France regarding Arabic book distribution. Every month, as all the serious book distributors know, and ISKCON leaders, every month in the World Sankirtan newsletter, this gives all the book scores worldwide, and there are two sections reserved just for international Arabic book distribution results. One section is for the temple Arabic scores, and the other is for individual Arabic book distribution scores. And each month, I immediately share those results with our small Arabic translation team in Beirut, Lebanon. For them to hear this, it deeply moves them and enlivens them, as they can directly see how all of their years of hard translation work is bearing fruit around the world. It was during one of those meetings where I was sharing the Arabic distribution results. First, I showed them, I explained and read it from the German results. I read it directly to my lead translator in Beirut, Premadan Prabhu, and suddenly he gasped, like, and he was clearly trying to put words together, but he couldn't find the words. Finally, he exploded it out. This name, this Bhakta, he has an Arab Muslim name, and he's a book distributor. And then he said, wait, here's another. Oh, Krishna, here's another, a Bhaktin from France with a very popular Arab Muslim name. It dawned on us both at that moment what was happening. Your books, Srila Prabhupada, your books in Arabic were turning Arabs into devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki! And that was happening right in front of our eyes. And then those new bhaktas and bhaktins were literally at the top of the book distribution lists for Arabic book distribution. They were becoming some of the biggest Arabic book distributors in the world, and they were preaching directly in Arabic to their fellow Arabs and distributing Arabic books to them. This is all you, Srila Prabhupada. You and only you. It is only your glories, your glorious books that are doing this. Your books are performing this with what may be considered to be a miracle of miracles right in front of our eyes. It's your mercy alone that is changing the hearts and consciousness within those who many have thought were impossible to change. Also, what we realize, Srila Prabhupada, what we realize, Srila Prabhupada, is that it is so important, so vital, that books need to be presented in the mother tongue of those who are receiving them. The knowledge goes deepest into the heart in that way. It is a fact that the first cognitive experience we have within the womb of our mother is hearing our mother speak the mother tongue. So that is why it's so important to put the books in all of the languages. You implored us to do this, to put your books in every language. Srila Prabhupada, just like you so regally walked in Red Square and ultimately blessed the Russian and CIS nation with Krishna consciousness through now millions of your books distributed in Russian, regardless of any concepts that this was somehow impossible to do, we are now just beginning to get the first glimpses of that very same mercy performing these divine miracles in what some now consider to be the last impossible frontier for Krishna consciousness, the Middle East. Srila Prabhupada, the only thing that is impossible is to stop your pure love and divine mercy. It's confirmed by the mooing cow.
Hari Hari.
This is your eternal love, Srila Prabhupada, alone that will soon, through your multi-language book Bhagavad transcendental literatures, flood the entire world without restriction and without any limit. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamine Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschat Desatarine. I have nothing much to speak. I'll speak only 2-3 points. Before the cows, they make a big sound, I'll stop it. I came late when I was hearing, so I saw the cow making sounds. I thought it was background music maybe, not to bring a Vrindavan mood. Then at one point, cows are making too much noise. Then I thought they're in ecstasy to listen Prabhupada's glorification. Then nearby devotee Maharaj told me, no Maharaj, this is different reason. Why not to stop the speech? So I am aware of that. So Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is the first and last preacher of Sanatana Dharma. He is first because before him, nobody has brought this knowledge. I will not say that nobody has not brought the Vedic knowledge, but the essence of Vedic knowledge was not spread all over the world. In Vedic time, when whole world was following Sanatana Dharma, but that time also, the low class, so-called degraded people, they are not getting chance. But Prabhupada's preaching was unique. So she is the first preacher that everybody, Chira Adadatta Nijagupta Bitam, that hidden treasure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he distributed to everyone. And no one will be in future like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is the only Acharya because, not only because he spread Krishna consciousness, he spoke the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Dharma. There are many others are preaching also philosophy of Krishna consciousness all over the world. We are also traveling all over the world. But Prabhupada will remain unique. What will remain unique for? Not only he taught the Vedic knowledge, he taught Western people how to wear dhoti, how to wear sari, how to clean themselves. No other preacher nowadays, they have to go to Western countries to teach all these things. This opportunity was only for Srila Prabhupada. So that is his unique position. Others may speak big philosophy, but Prabhupada as Acharya, he taught to whole world all these things that nobody will get this opportunity anymore. Srila Prabhupada's appearance on this earthly planet is not accidental. It's very, very pre-planned. As all of you know, that when Krishna was departing from this material world, all the rivers, Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati personification came to Krishna and told Krishna that you are leaving, we will go with you also. Krishna left with the Jnana and Dharma. The river said, we will go with you back. We can't stay. The college is coming. People will come take bath in our water. They will leave all their sin. Krishna said, no, you wait. Wait for another 5,000 years. That day, the Ekavarna, whole world will become Vaishnavas and they will come and take bath in your water. So in this way you can spend happily your time. So that prediction Krishna gave, that my name will be spread, my glory will spread all over the world. Who was that personality did it? That was Srila Prabhupada. So it is all planned. That is 5,000 years ago. And Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago. He said, my Senapati Bhakta will come, who will preach this holy name all over the world. So who fulfilled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction? That was Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came 250 years before. He said, the day will come when people from Russia, Prussia means France, will come to India and they will embrace the Indian devotees chanting Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. And how was that possible? Who made it possible? Srila Prabhupada. Finally, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada came, who spread the glories of Navadip Dham through Navadip Parikrama. Srila Bhakti Thakur Prabhupada, understanding the more and more people will come to join Navadip Parikrama, he purchased big land, so thousands of people can do Parikrama. So to fulfill Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada's desire, now by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are having 10,000-15,000 devotees doing Navadip Mandal Parikrama. So my point is, Prabhupada's appearance is well planned long before, especially when also Bhakti Devi, when Narada Muni met Bhakti Devi told that I will go to Videsh, foreign countries. How did she travel to foreign countries? Residing within the heart of Srila Prabhupada. So this makes things very, very obvious. Prabhupada's unique position. More days will pass, people will understand more the glories of Srila Prabhupada. Now, whole India is very proud. Indians, especially Bengal people, because of Vivekananda. Everybody thinks Vivekananda is the person who brought this Vedic knowledge, information about Veda to Western countries. But if we compare to Vivekananda's achievement and Prabhupada's achievement, what Vivekananda did? Vivekananda brought one lady called Nivedita. That's why all India, all Bengal is very proud Vivekananda. And how many Nivedita Prabhupada brought to India? Thousands or lakhs of. Not like, I don't know, Nivedita means offered. How much she had offered herself to Krishna, I don't know. But Prabhupada brought really Niveditas, thousands of Niveditas with saris and also devotees dhotis. So these things been recognized now. Outside writers, reporters, they are now speaking up that what A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has done, nothing less than Vivekananda. Rather, he has done much more it. Not ISKCON devotees. Outsiders are saying like this. Outside magazines publishing, the whole world, who are the personalities, started something after 60 years and made it international event. Outside people, they are mentioning Srila Prabhupada's name. So more day will pass. Prabhupada's glory will spread more and more. Prabhupada spread glories of Krishna. He did not spread his own glory. Wherever you go, America, Europe, London, people, they see us, they know, oh, Hare Krishna is going. Everybody Prabhupada made to chant Hare Krishna. Everybody know Krishna, but they don't know Srila Prabhupada. So now it is our responsibility to make Srila Prabhupada famous all over the world, so that people will understand. Some people are talking, Prabhupada is like Jesus Christ, who brought revolution. Few days before I saw somebody saying, he is like Tulsidas. Tulsidas translated Ramayana to Hindi, so that everybody knew. So Prabhupada translated Gita, Bhagavad to English. So like people will understand Srila Prabhupada in different way. In future, his glory will manifest more and more. Okay, cow has started. So my last point is, so I was talking to Srila Prabhupada's disciple. So he asked, Maharaj, when did you join? I said 1978. Wow, if 1 year before you could join, you'd be fortunate to become Prabhupada's disciple. I said, I am fortunate that I am not Prabhupada's disciple. I am fortunate I am not Prabhupada's disciple. She was very surprised. How, you are fortunate that you are not Prabhupada's disciple? I said, yes. I am not Prabhupada's disciple, I am his grand disciple. Do you know the grandchildren are more dear than the children? So if you have become Prabhupada's disciple, I will be son. But I am his grand disciple, sir. He will be more affectionate towards me. So I will get more mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada Disappearance Day ki.
Jnana-timirandasya jnananjana-salakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Savadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swamini Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharni Nirvishesha Sunyavade Paschatya Deshatani. So today is very, very auspicious on occasion of Srila Prabhupada Disappearance Day. These festivals are very, very important for all of us to develop our Krishna consciousness. So today is a great opportunity, all of us, to glorify Srila Prabhupada, activities, what he has given to the world. Every day we are praying to Srila Prabhupada like a Mangalarti, Samsara Dava Nalalida Loka, Tranaya Karunya Gana Ganatvam. That means Srila Prabhupada receiving the mercy of Lord Krishna and distributing the whole world. This material world is like a forest fire, and to extinguish the forest fire, so Srila Prabhupada showing his mercy to the whole world. So that's what every day we are singing, Samsara Dava Nalalida Loka, Tranaya Karunya Gana Ganatvam, Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. So we all should know, Prabhupada gave this International Society for Krishna Consciousness to the whole world. Especially, he has given to his most dear and surrendered disciples, like many now, those who are following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, especially His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. I just now received Glory of India, written by Satyaraj, I was surprised to see how Maharaj, dedicated his life, 100% surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. So I wish all of you should follow the footsteps of all the great, dearest disciples of Srila Prabhupada, especially like a Gopal Krishna Goswami, who has completely surrendered to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada mission. So I pray on this day, especially to all our Prabhupada disciples, dearest disciples, to bless me so I can remain in Krishna consciousness and whatever I can do, preaching Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much, all of you, attending all these festivals. I pray to Srila Prabhupada, bless me, always remain in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Bolo Maha Patitapan Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jnana timirandasya jnananjana chalakayam chakshu unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnurai Krishna Varsaya Bhutare Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Dirive Gauravani Pachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasya Chadeshatayani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Dvaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I many times think that Srila Prabhupada was just like a puppeteer. Just like a puppeteer is not seen himself, but by his energy, by his Shakti, by his personal qualities and the life he has, all that becomes manifested in the puppets who perform a whole drama for the audience that captures the audience. So Srila Prabhupada often sent out disciples to open new centers, and he himself remained in the background and just directed the disciples by writing regularly letters to them to encourage them to solve problems, to counsel them, to give ideas how to spread Krishna consciousness, and in that way he was not only the puppeteer himself, but he also created puppeteers. And the main Shakti, I would say, that he had was his faith in the holy name. And so he knew in that way also, because he had so much faith in the holy name, that it will purify the young people that he was preaching to, and the young people that he would send out to open new centers, that they would become purified. So again and again in his letters, he would emphasize that they should follow the regulative principles and chant their prescribed numbers of rounds, that they would not fail to do so. And other than that, he had a lot of faith that Krishna consciousness will grow in them, and that they also can become puppeteers themselves to present this Krishna consciousness to others. So I joined in Australia, where Srila Prabhupada had told Bali Madan and Upendra to go and start preaching. And after they started preaching and some congregation had gathered, he would come and initiate them. So they started preaching and they followed Prabhupada's example. Bali Madan went and he started sitting in a park and started chanting, and people became interested, and gradually the preaching started. And Prabhupada again gave directions. After Upendra came, they went also on street Sankirtan, and then after some time, a lot of people started gathering, and after again and again coming in streets for street Sankirtan, the police became incensed about it, and they put Bali Madan in jail. And that was kind of a shock to the new preachers, because they came from families that, middle-class families that, and had never experienced any kind of means kind of infliction with the law, So Prabhupada gave them directions that they should. This was only the first small incidents that someone was in jail there, and he said, "Never mind, you can chant Hare Krishna, and from now on you should try to present Krishna consciousness not as a religion, but you can present it as a cultural movement, because we are spreading the culture of Bhagavad-Gita." And Bhagavad-Gita was read by many people, by politicians, by educated people, philosophers, and even, he said, I heard even Einstein was reading the Bhagavad-Gita, and he became afterwards like a God-conscious person, because he said that the Bhagavad-Gita was written by or spoken by a great brain, and he said, and that is God. So Prabhupada gave them this idea, don't present it however it is acceptable to the people on all levels. It is scientific, it is philosophical, it discusses so many subject matters. So, and another thing is Prabhupada was very innovative also. And he was actually told by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta just before he passed away, it was a letter. He had written a letter to Srila Prabhupada saying that he could turn himself as a magnificent English preacher if he would just preach the novel idea of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. And he said the same to Bali Madan and Upendra. They should preach the novel idea to the common people and educated people. So that's what they did. And actually I found out this novel idea is innovativeness. Novel means something unknown until then, new and unique, So they did that, and with the directions of Srila Prabhupada in all areas, they became very successful, and soon a lot of people, young people from the universities joined, and Prabhupada came in it and initiated them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First of all, I seek blessings of all senior Vaishnavas and the Prabhupada disciples. I do not have any qualification to glorify anybody, Prabhupada also. I am such a beginner. But somehow Prabhupada life has played a lot of role in my life. When I was working, some or other way, I got Prabhupada Leela Mirza. I haven't read the Bhagavad-Gita. I didn't read Bhagavatam, but I read first Prabhupada Leela Mirza. This is around 35 years back. After returning from office, that big volume, full volume, single volume was there at that time. I was reading continuously, every day. After 6 months, maybe 3-4 months I completed. I took 2-3 more months to decide to join full time. I didn't read Bhagavad-Gita at that time. I didn't read Bhagavatam, anything. Prabhupada has such a motivation in my life. The main thing is, I was looking for really everything practical in the life. Prabhupada purport or lectures or everything was more practical. It was so inspiring. We all go through the college and schools. We know do's and don'ts, good and bad, everything. But how to come out of it? That was a big question in whole life. We know what is wrong, but how to come out? Okay, but when I was looking at hearing proper lecture somewhere, he was giving very neat way how to come out. Vishya manivartande niragashyate, you know, rajavasham rasopesha parantasvanivartade. This sloga, as it is, many know, by getting higher taste you get lower taste will go. But what is higher taste? How to get higher taste? Parantashva. Prabhupada gives very neat explanation. How to give higher taste for your eyes, how to give higher taste for your tongue, how to give higher taste for ears, everything. That was practical, that inspired. Okay, I know, I should not do, but how to not to do? I cannot control. And Prabhupada tells, dovetail. You don't control, but you dovetail your taste to higher. These are all concepts which made me, Prabhupada is a more practical person. And he gave everything, spiritual things in a material world in a practical domain. Bringing something from spiritual world down to material world, in applicable in a material way, looks like it's a very tough job. And it was done by Prabhupada, very simple way. And some other speaker was telling, simply chanting, dancing, and eating prasadam, you can go back. We get all the things. I remember first when I was requested to chant, I was so hesitant. And I told, what is this? It's like a memory poem, school memory poem. I have to repeatedly tell same thing. But I don't understand the magic of things. They requested repeatedly. In one round chanting, I slept 4 times. And I was traveling in the bus for my work. Okay, they are pushing me. Let me try chanting. Then I came, started coming to temple. I saw devotees are so blissful, brisk and happy, with less prasadam, with less comforts, everything. With all comforts, I am not so happy. What is, that's a challenge. Then again I asked, how did he make happy? Chant 16 rounds. That way I started chant 16 rounds. You want to be happy? Chant 16 rounds minimum. That's why Prabhupada gave everything very simple and practical way. And I can tell you a lot, Prabhupada everything gave practical. And another way I was explaining one of the things, Prabhupada lecture, somebody was telling how Prabhupada gave practical to a businessman. Like Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Sumaranam. Everybody knows Sravanam is very important than Kirtanam. Even the material world knows one who is a good listener will be a good person to handle the things, not one who talks a lot, one hears a lot. And therefore, first this Bhagavad Sloka Prabhupada tells, and this purport and all the things, they are telling the businessman, it looks like wonderful for my business also. Therefore, one of the things I was fighting in the whole ISKCON, I am got fed up with all this material management, everything. I go, come here, don't bring any material things. Whether anything, GBC college or any college, anything, give Prabhupada, everything give Prabhupada. He has given everything, what not he has not given. Give me one question, I'll answer where he has given. Everything he has given. Either science or really thing management. Gopalakrishna Maharaj used to tell in one of the bureau meeting, Prabhupada told how to make your accounts perfect. Whatever Prabhupada instructed, every single paisa you collected, put in the deposit in the bank and take from the bank and spend. Account will be tallied by the bank. You are accountable for all the money what you collected. See how practical Prabhupada. Who can give, there are so many auditors, so many accountants may be there, but who gave such a real practical solution? Put every money in the bank and take and spend from the bank. Then you will be able to tally everything. I can go a lot. I take my time. Thank you very much. It's a very great opportunity. Even though I am not qualified, I have been told to give this. And youth preaching, that's Prabhupada. Finally, this one point, small point. Youth preaching I was doing a lot from for the beginning onwards I was doing. And one of the point letter Prabhupada has written, how a youth preacher should be trained, how you should conduct. I heard out in the ISKCON India Youth Committee. They are surprised. Such a letter Prabhupada has given complete points on youth preaching. If I tell you to take half an hour. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So, we are here. Here we are celebrating 44th Disappearance Day of Srila Prabhupada. While sitting here in front of you, I feel extremely shy for different reasons. One reason because I am going to speak a subject matter which is so sublime. Of course, in glorification of Srila Prabhupada, I am going to speak such a sublime subject matter for which I have not any adhikar, right, neither I have qualification, nor I have expertise. So that is reason why my shyness, and especially when I look at an audience where His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj is sitting, I got inspiration for that subject matter. Our His Holiness Loknath Swami is also sitting in the audience. However, Narottam Das Thakur talks about Jaya Nila Premadhanam Karuna Prachur Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Jaya Nila Premadhanam. Srila Prabhupada, you brought Premadhan out of intense mercy. Karuna Prachur, Karuna, mercy of superlative degree. Now, where you have gone, today is Disappearance Day, this particular day, 44 years, Prabhupada disappeared from our vision. So, when we talk about Karuna, Prem Dhana, originally Upasyo Bhagavan Brajesh Tanayas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitupasana Brajvadhu Vargenaya Kalpita. Krishna is worshipable. Upasya, our worshipable deity Krishna, and his dham Vrindavan is also equally worshipable. And the process Ramya Kachit Upasana, the Upasana, way process of devotional service which was started or initiated by Brajvadhu, the cowherd girls of Braj, this Bhumi Vrindavan. So this process, Ramya Upasana, was so attractive, so sublime, so nice, that even Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, become attracted for this process. And so much so that again Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to relish the process of devotional service, bhakti, initiated by the Gopis. Gopis live in the village of Braja, Vrindavan, and they earn their livelihood by selling matha. जो माठा बेचकर जो गोपियाँ जीविका चलाती हैं, उन लोगों ने एक भक्ति का बहुत सुदृढ़ मार्ग दिया है हम लोगों को. The gopi who earn their livelihood by selling matha, buttermilk, they have initiated such a sublime method of satisfying Krishna, worshipping Krishna. The process was so sublime that even Supreme Krishna himself became Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he relished, in first part he relished that devotional service, Krishna Prem, under the name of Gopi Prem, or Raganuga Bhakti, or Gopi Bhav. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then distributed it on the surface of earth, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a desire Chaitanya Mahaprabhu order instructed everyone, especially those who have taken birth in the land of Bharatvarsh, Punya Bhumi Bharatvarsh. भारत भूमिते हैल मनुष्य जन्म जार जन्म सार्थक करी कर परोपकार. Whosoever have taken birth in Bharatvarsh, there is a special responsibility Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving, that they must fulfill the mission of their life by cultivating Krishna consciousness, and same times they should be very much enthusiastic. They are duty bound to distribute this Krishna Prem, Raganuma Bhakti, and help others, because others they are struggling for Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada here, I want to say that Srila Prabhupada accepted, Srila Prabhupada चैतन्य महाप्रभु के उस आदेश को सिरोधार्य किए, सिर पर रख लिए, and Srila Prabhupada preached, distributed, spread Krishna consciousness all on the surface of earth. So this is the highest in the realm of devotional service, that is called Krishna Prem. So Srila Prabhupada distributed that Krishna Prem freely all over the surface of the earth. Jaya Nila Prem Dhanam, out of intense mercy, mercy, karuna of superlative degree, prachur karuna, he brought Krishna consciousness, Krishna Prem, Gopi Bhav, and Srila Prabhupada distributed this freely on the surface of earth. So Prabhupada has done many things for us. The most sublime thing, it is the special mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that most sublime method initiated by the Gopis of Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada decided this. So on this Disappearance Day, we are very much indebted. Srila Prabhupada is so valuable thing. We don't deserve, we are not qualified, we could not understand. Still, out of mercy, intense mercy, Srila Prabhupada has given us. So, when Loknath Maharaj was speaking, we 44 years ago, Srila Prabhupada disappeared from our vision. So we have love, we had love for Prabhupada, we will maintaining that love, and in future also we will continue to love Srila Prabhupada. शायद यह ज़्यादा वल्गर नहीं होगा तो मैं एक बात कह देता, थोड़ा आप लोग हंसाने के लिए, समझने के लिए। प्रभुपाद वो गीत जानते हो, पता नहीं यहाँ कहना चाहिए कि नहीं, वृंदावन स्टेज से 100 साल पहले तुझे मुझसे प्यार था, आज भी है और कल भी रहेगा। तो प्रभुपाद जी का हम लोगों का स्नेह था, भूतकाल में है, और हम इस अवसर पर प्रभुपाद को वचन देते हैं कि प्रभुपाद जी हम आपके चरणों का आश्रय लिए रहेंगे, आपसे प्रेम करते रहेंगे, आज भी है और कल भी रहेगा। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Srila Prabhupada ki. So today is Srila Prabhupada's Remembrance Day. The whole day we're remembering Srila Prabhupada. And what else are we doing? We're thanking him. We're thanking him for all the gifts that he gave us. Of course, he gave us unlimited gifts. But out of all those unlimited gifts he gave to us, 64 are most prominent. And of those 64 gifts, 5 are the most important. So today, I want to thank Srila Prabhupada and explain each one of these most important gifts that he has given us so that we can appreciate Srila Prabhupada. Even though today is what we call in English a bitter-sweet occasion, it's bitter because we're feeling the separation of Srila Prabhupada. We're feeling the lack of his leadership, his guidance, his personal association. But it's sweet because we know that Prabhupada is now situated at the lotus feet of the Lord. He's serving Radha and Krishna, and so we're happy for that. So the first gift that Srila Prabhupada gave us was the Sadhu Sangha. In the 4th canto, chapter 20, Prithu Maharaj is glorifying the Lord, and he's saying the most important thing is Arya Sangame, which means the association of the Aryas. Aryas are people who follow the Vedic culture and lifestyle. And in the purport, Prabhupada says that this Arya Sangame, association of devotees, is the most important factor in the material world. So here we are in the material world. The reason we're in the material world is because in the last life we didn't go back to Godhead. So here we are again. So now we have to take association of Arya Sangame, association of all the devotees. So that's the first gift that Prabhupada gave us, the association of devotees. We're all living together, enjoying association together, discussing Harikatha together, taking prasad together. So that's the first gift. I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for giving me the association of the Vaishnavas. The second gift I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for is the Thakur Seva. He gave us the most beautiful deities to worship. Here we have Sri Sri Radha Shyama Sundar, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram, Sri Sri Gauranitai. So we are so fortunate. We have such beautiful murtis to serve. And this is the second gift that Srila Prabhupada gave, was the Murti Seva, that we could come, take darshan, murti darshan, and do a little seva, and in this way our life becomes more and more blessed. So I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for giving us the Sri Murtis for us to worship. The third gift that Prabhupada gave us was prasad. By installing the Murti Seva, for us to do seva. We can offer foodstuffs to the Lord, and then we get back His remnants as prasad, and we can take that prasad, we can enjoy that prasad. Our whole bodies become purified and spiritualized because that prasad becomes our body. All the tissues and muscles and tendons and everything, blood, is transformed by the prasadam that's spiritualized and purified. So I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for giving us this prasad. And then the fourth gift that Srila Prabhupada gave was the book seva. That he translated all these wonderful shastras so that we could understand and have direct knowledge of what to do and what not to do, what is dharma, what is adharma, and relishing the pastimes of the Lord. So it's such a wonderful thing, and the seva that we have is that we can distribute and share these books, just like we can distribute and share the prasad. So I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for giving us his books, and which keeps us enlivened and keeps us in Krishna consciousness. And then the fifth gift that Srila Prabhupada gave us was the holy name, mantra seva. So Srila Prabhupada, I just read the other day where Srila Prabhupada said that the Maha Mantra, the holy name of the Lord, is the sound incarnation of the Lord. So we have the Sri Murtis, it's the incarnation of the Lord in stone or in brass or in wood. We have Prasad incarnation of the Lord, which is the incarnation in fruits and vegetables and grains. And now we have the sound incarnation of the Lord, the Maha Mantra. And Prabhupada said that this is the most essential form of the Lord that we should worship. We should worship the Maha Mantra because it is directly Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Within the mantra, Maha Mantra is not only Shri Shri Radha Krishna, but it's their whole Leela. The whole Vrindavan Leela is in the Maha Mantra. And by chanting that mantra, becoming purified by that chanting, experiencing ecstatic bliss by that chanting, we can realize and enter in to that ecstatic mood that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited and that he is sharing with everyone through this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So I want to thank Srila Prabhupada so much for this Maha Mantra because it has made my life. My life has become full of meaning that I can sing, chant this Maha Mantra everywhere I go. And it's so ecstatic, so blissful. So we're thanking Srila Prabhupada for the gifts he gave us, but now we should stop and consider what is the gift that we can give to Srila Prabhupada. Because in the Western conception, when it's a special day, people receive gifts. But in the Vedic Arya conception, on a special day, you give gifts. On your birthday, you give gifts, not that you receive. So on this special day, what gift should we give to Srila Prabhupada to show him our love, to show him our gratitude, to show him how dedicated and sincere we are in following his instructions? So I have a suggestion what gift we can give to Srila Prabhupada, and I'll ask for your blessings and see if we have an agreement. So this is the gift I suggest that we give to Srila Prabhupada today to celebrate his Tirobhav festival. And that is, we make a sankalpa. We make a sankalpa that this is our last life, and we all go back home, back to Godhead in this life. Because if we all go back to home, back to Godhead in this life, Prabhupada will feel he was a success. Everybody in the spiritual world will come to Prabhupada and say, what a fantastic job you did. Look at all these mlechas and yavanas coming back home, back to Godhead. And if we don't go back to Godhead, Krishna's mercy is still there for us. And what mercy will Krishna give us if we don't go back to Godhead in this life? He'll give us another birth in the material world. We'll take birth again in the Vaishnava family, and we have to go through the whole material world again. Who wants to do that? Nobody. Who wants to go back to Godhead in this life? Everybody. So let's make a sankalpa. In this life, we're going to go back home, back to Godhead. We're going to get serious about spiritual life. We're going to become more dedicated, more committed, and more enthusiastic to share this with others so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. Because Prabhupada taught me, he said, first deserve, then desire. Confirmed. So we can't just desire to go back to home, back to Godhead. We have to deserve it. And we deserve it by our seva, by the Thakur seva, Mahaprasad seva, by the Vaishnav seva, by the book seva, and the Harinam seva. So let us make this sankalpa together and give this gift to Srila Prabhupada, that we may all join him in the spiritual world and make Srila Prabhupada's mission in this material world that he gave his life, blood, sweat, and tears for, we make him a complete success. Thank you very much.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadhantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Every word, every sentence that Srila Prabhupada spoke is like nectar. It is very important and relevant to all of our lives. Yet I found one sentence, the most nectarian sentence, which gives great joy to me, and I'm sure all of you will find it as the most nectarian sentence. This is in the context of a reporter asking Srila Prabhupada a question. The question was, what will happen when you die? And the answer, which is even more important, I'll repeat the question. The question was, what will happen when you die? Most important answer, Srila Prabhupada, I will never die. Directly from the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada. I will never die. Srila Prabhupada will live forever through his books, through his Vani, and he gave more emphasis on his books. He wanted all of us to not only distribute the books, but to also read them very scrutinizingly. I would like to share one anecdote which was narrated by one of our Guru Bhais, one dear God brother, Bhagavad Prabhu. He narrated that once, Bhagavad Prabhu, he was in the association of Srila Prabhupada, and some life members came there. Srila Prabhupada was preaching to those life members and quoting some verses. And when those life members left the room, Srila Prabhupada asked Bhagavad Prabhu, did you understand the verses that I was reciting? Do you know the meanings of those? And Bhagavad said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm very sorry. I did not understand. I do not understand. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged him, Bhagavad Prabhu, you must also study the books. You must know the verses. I know that you are doing many important services. Many other devotees are engaged in services, managing, fund collection, book distribution, so many other services. But it is very important to also study the books very thoroughly. Then Srila Prabhupada was silent for a little while. And then Prabhupada said, I myself read my own books daily. I read my own books. And then, further, after a short silence, Prabhupada said, every time I read these books, I find something new in them. And then, after a short silence again, Prabhupada said, because these books are not written by me, they are directly dictated by Krishna, I have just given them a written form. These books have been dictated by Krishna, only I have given a written form. Something like Govindaji deity revealing to Baladev Vidya Bhushana, the commentary known as Govinda Bhashya. So Prabhupada wanted us very much to study the books very thoroughly. One of my dear god sisters, Parvati Devi Dasi, I don't know if she's here today, she wrote a very beautiful offering. She says that just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most munificent, most generous, munificent means generous, most generous incarnation of Krishna, similarly Srila Prabhupada is the best devotee of the world. New Vrindavan, and so before I come to that, Srila Prabhupada brought Krishna Prem from Goloka Vrindavan and distributed this to everyone. Prabhupada says that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which was introduced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and before that also it was there, this is non-different from the sound of Krishna's flute. So the sound of Krishna's flute in Goloka Vrindavan is experienced here as the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is being distributed all over the world. Last point, I'm running out of time. Gopal Krishna Maharaj touched on a very important point. Prime Minister of India, Modi ji, he glorified Srila Prabhupada very much on the release of the 125th coin, silver coin, and he said, actually many leaders, world leaders are glorifying Srila Prabhupada, like Boris Johnson and many others. So this Prime Minister recently said, he quoted his predecessor who had said that this Krishna consciousness is nothing less than a miracle. We as ISKCON devotees will go a step further and say it's not only a miracle, but the greatest miracle ever in creation. Thank you very much.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Panat Kleshnashaya Govindaya Namo Namah. अखंड मंडलाकारं व्याप्त्येन चराचरं दर्शितं पद्मनेन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुस्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भागवत में एक श्लोक है, दुर्लभम मानुषो देहो देहीनाम क्षण भंकुरः। यह मनुष्य देह है, यह अत्यंत दुर्लभ है। आज से पूर्व कोई भी इस मनुष्य देह में यह नहीं ज्ञात कर पाया कि पिछला जन्म मनुष्य रूप था या इस देह के बाद अगला जन्म मनुष्य के रूप में होगा। किंतु वर्तमान में यह सत्य है कि इस जीवन में हमको मनुष्य देह भगवत कृपा से प्राप्त हुई है। भगवत कृपा से जो मनुष्य देह प्राप्त है उसमें एक विशेष जीवों से अलग मनुष्य में जो ज्ञान है, विवेक है, बुद्धि है, उसकी प्राप्ति हमको इस मनुष्य देह में है। इसी मनुष्य देह की प्राप्ति से अगर हमें गुरु का और गौरांग की मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त हो तो यह मनुष्य देह हमारा सफल होगा। इसी देह को सफल करने के लिए श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु का अवतार इस पृथ्वी पर हुआ। चैतन्य महाप्रभु के अवतार में इस कलयुग के जीव को जो दिया वह अब तक किसी भी अन्य अवतार में प्राप्त नहीं हुआ, चाहे वह राम अवतार हो चाहे कृष्ण अवतार हो। सब अवतारों में मिला बहुत कुछ, किंतु कलयुग के जीव के लिए जो प्राप्त हुआ वह विशेष रूप से हमको 4 चीज प्रमुख रूप से प्राप्त हुई। एक तो नाम तत्व, एक धाम तत्व, एक प्रेम तत्व और एक राधा तत्व। नाम की महिमा श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के द्वारा दिखाई गई। हरिनाम का प्रचार प्रसार सब जीवों के लिए, सब जीव मात्र के कल्याण के लिए किया गया। धाम की महिमा श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के द्वारा बताई गई। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने स्वयं इस ब्रज में आकर, वृंदावन में आकर उस धाम की महिमा को सब जीव को, समस्त जगत को दर्शन कराए। राधा तत्व क्या है? उस राधा तत्व को चैतन्य महाप्रभु से पहले कोई नहीं बता पाया, किंतु चैतन्य महाप्रभु के द्वारा राधा तत्व का ज्ञान कलयुग के जीवों को और कलयुग के भक्तों को कराया गया। राधा की महिमा इस कलयुग के जीव को बताई गई। आज अगर हम भगवान श्री कृष्ण को पूर्ण ब्रह्म के रूप में मानते हैं तो भगवान श्री कृष्ण पूर्ण ब्रह्म के रूप में इस ब्रज वृंदावन में ही विराजमान है। क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ भगवान कृष्ण के साथ श्रीमती राधा रानी है। भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने जो रास किया, जो लीलाएं की, वो राधा रानी के साथ इस वृंदावन में, इस ब्रज मंडल में करी। तो यहाँ भगवान पूर्ण ब्रह्म के रूप में विराजमान है। धाम की महिमा, धाम को भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने स्वयं इस मिट्टी को, इस रज को अपने मुख में डाला। इस धाम की महिमा का वर्णन इस रज को अपने मुख में रखकर भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने इस धाम की महिमा का वर्णन कर दिया। इन्हीं सब बातों को लेकर जो नामनिष्ठ, धामनिष्ठ, राधानिष्ठ और प्रेम तत्व से परिपूर्ण प्रेम निष्ठा के साथ श्रील प्रभुपाद ने इस वृंदावन में अनेक वर्षों तक नामनिष्ठ होकर यहाँ के मंदिर, गोस्वामी समाधियों, अन्य स्थानों पर जाकर जो नाम साधना करी, वह साधारण जीव के लिए संभव नहीं है। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं कि श्रील प्रभुपाद ने अपने जीवन के शेष अंतिम 10 वर्ष, जीवन का प्रारंभ नहीं, जीवन का मध्य नहीं, जीवन का जो शेष अंतिम 10 वर्ष है, उस 10 वर्ष में पूरे विश्व को कृष्ण भावनामृत से परिपूर्ण कर कर भर दिया। आज आप लोग कहीं यात्रा करते हैं तो गूगल पे पहले चेक कर लेते हैं कि फ्लाइट बुक करा लें, ट्रेन बुक करा लें, होटल बुक करा लें, हमारा डेस्टिनेशन पॉइंट क्या है। तो वी हैव टू फिक्स एवरीथिंग बिफोर आवर अराइवल। बट Prabhupada at that time, that some lady, Mrs. Desai from Bombay, she has sponsored him a ticket to go to the US, and that is not by the air, by ship. You have to imagine that he have only his kartal and some books which he had written, and he had translated that books, and he took this, and he don't know that where he will live, where he will stay, and he who knows him. ये आप कभी कल्पना करिए, ये आपके कल्पना के परे की चीज है। उस अवस्था में प्रभुपाद विदेश जाकर, यूएस जाकर, न्यूयॉर्क में इस इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी ऑफ कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस, I can say that is the only one organization after the UNO that more than 100 countries are under that flag. You can go and visit all over the world. You cannot find out any other institution like the ISKCON, that more than 100 countries flags under the ISKCON flag. So that is the unity which Mahaprabhu shows us. That is the unity, and that unity is based on Harinam. That he gave us, that you have to chant, continue to chant. और जितना नाम पर विश्वास होगा, हमारे पास जो धन है, वी आर वेरी रिच पर्सन, वी आर वेरी रिचेस्ट पर्सन इन द वर्ल्ड, वी आर नॉट कंपेयर टू एनी रिचेस्ट पर्सन, बिकॉज वी हैव दिस नाम धन। ये हरिनाम का जो धन है, हरिनाम की जो संपत्ति है, वो हमारे पास है। और जब हरिनाम की संपत्ति हमारे पास है, तो जो नामी है अर्थात कृष्ण, वो स्वयं उनको आना पड़ता है। नाम में वह शक्ति है। भक्त प्रहलाद में वो शक्ति थी कि उन्होंने खंभ में से नृसिंह को प्रकट कर लिया। तो नाम में वह शक्ति है कि हम नामी को भी प्रकट कर सकते हैं। वह शक्ति प्रभुपाद ने आपको दी है। हमारे इस ब्रज में, वृंदावन में मोक्ष की कामना नहीं है। मोक्ष को स्वीकार नहीं किया गया ब्रजवासियों के द्वारा। क्यों? क्योंकि ब्रजवासियों ने जब कृष्ण का संग कर लिया, राधा रानी का संग कर लिया, और उस कृष्ण के संग जो उनको मधुरामृत, जो उनको अमृत प्राप्त हो गया, जो उनको अमृतत्व प्राप्त हो गया, उससे ज्यादा जीवन में क्या चाहिए? उससे ज्यादा तो जीवन में कुछ नहीं चाहिए। तो इन ब्रजवासियों को मोक्ष की कामना नहीं है। यहाँ मृत्यु के पश्चात लिखते हैं प्रभु की नित्य लीला में प्रविष्ट। देह त्याग के बाद जो ठाकुर जी की नित्य लीला है, उस नित्य लीला में ये देह प्रविष्ट हो गई। तो शील प्रभुपाद का कार्तिक के माह में जो सबसे श्रेष्ठ माह माना गया, इस वृंदावन में, इस ब्रजरज में, कृष्ण बलराम मंदिर में सदैव उनकी समाधि है। तो वह कृष्ण बलराम और गौर निताई की नित्य लीला में प्रविष्ट हैं। वह नित्य लीला में प्रविष्ट होकर आपको वह मार्ग दिखा रहे हैं कि नाम, हरिनाम से प्रेम करो, हरिनाम में विश्वास करो, हरिनाम में श्रद्धा करो। हरिनाम जप का जो फल है वह इस कलयुग में भगवत प्राप्ति में सर्वश्रेष्ठ है। राधा की महिमा, राधा का तत्व, गोपियों का जो प्रेम, जब ये सब आप लोगों के साथ जो बड़े बड़े गुरुजन बैठे हैं, गोपाल कृष्ण महाराज, लोकनाथ महाराज और भी जो भी गुरुजन हैं, उनके सत्संग से वह प्रभुपाद की वाणी सुनकर आप अपने जीवन को और भक्ति के मार्ग पर आगे ले जाकर अपने को धन्य कर सकते हैं। पर वह सत्संग करना पड़ेगा। वह सत्संग कर कर प्रभुपाद की जो वाणी है उस वाणी को सुनना पड़ेगा, श्रवण करना पड़ेगा। प्रभुपाद की जो कथा है उसका आपको उनके जो शिष्य हैं, जो आपके गुरुवर हैं, उनके माध्यम से वह आपको श्रवण कर कर अपने जीवन को उस भक्ति मार्ग पर आगे बढ़ाना है। आप वृंदावन धाम में आते हैं, कार्तिक के महीने में ब्रज 84 कोष की परिक्रमा करते हैं। प्रभुपाद ने इतना आपको दिया है कि मैं कहता हूं कि विश्व में आपसे बड़ा कोई धनवान नहीं है। आपके पास नाम का धन है, आपके पास धाम का धन है, आपके पास प्रेमा भक्ति का धन है, आपके पास राधा तत्व, गोपी भाव, जो गोपियों ने जो प्रेम किया, गोपियों ने जो भक्ति की, वह भक्ति का धन आपके पास है। इससे बड़ा धनवान इस विश्व में कौन हो सकता है? प्रचुर धन है। इस धन को जितना आप बांटोगे उतने आप और धनवान होंगे। इसका जितना प्रचार प्रसार करेंगे, ये झोली कभी खाली नहीं होती है। इस झोली को जितना आप खाली करोगे उससे दुगनी ये झोली और आपकी भर जाएगी। तो प्रभुपाद के द्वारा आपको जो मार्ग दिया गया और जो आपके गुरु वर्ग है, उनसे, सत्संग से, उनके प्रवचन से आपको निश्चित इस आध्यात्म जगत में, आध्यात्म जीवन में लाभ प्राप्त होगा। हालांकि प्रभुपाद से मैंने भी प्रभुपाद का बचपन में दर्शन किया। प्रभुपाद को कई बार मैं विजिट भी किया अपने पिताजी के साथ। मेरे पिता श्री विशंबर गोस्वामी, हम लोग राधा रमन मंदिर के, प्रभुपाद का बहुत ही अंतरंग संग, सत्संग मेरे पिता के साथ रहा। 1975 में रामनवमी के दिन जब कृष्ण बलराम मंदिर का उद्घाटन किया तो प्रभुपाद ने मेरे पिताजी को बुलाया। वो कृष्ण बलराम मंदिर में वो चित्र भी हैं। तो मेरे पितामह का ग्रैंडफादर का भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती के साथ, मेरे ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर का भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर के साथ, मतलब 4 पीढ़ी का, 4 generations we have the relation. So I am very grateful and thankful to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Loknath Maharaj and all the other senior sannyasis and gurus and all the Vaishnavas that they invite me to give the opportunity to speak about few words on the Disappearance Day of Srila Prabhupada. I am highly thankful and grateful to all the devotees. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। एक बार करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई पतित पावन तुम बिना के होना जहर निकटे गेले पाप दूरे जाय ए मन दयाल प्रभु के बाको थापाय गंगार परस होइले पाश्चाते पावन दर्शने पवित्र करो ये तुम्हार गुण हरिस्थाने अपराधे तारे हरि नाम तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण तुम्हारा हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम गोविंद कहे न मोरा वैष्णव परान प्रति जन्मे कोरी आस चरणेर धूली नरोत्तम करो दया पुनरो बोली। Srila Prabhupada, you are so merciful that patit like me, you accept me as your disciple. So please be merciful to me so we can follow your instruction. We can catch hold of your instruction so tightly that we will never forget. So Prabhupada, you told my husband to preach. So that's only we have a desire to preach. Prabhupada, please help us so we can preach unconditionally. Please Prabhupada, I'm begging you that I want to preach. Prabhupada, first time you came 75 in Toronto and we missed it. So in 76, I make sure that I don't miss your association. So I made a small garland for you from my garden. And we went to the airport, but it was so much rush, so we cannot offer you there. So we rushed back to the temple. And then when you came out of the car, when I saw you, I feel like you are my everything. You are my father, everything, friend, everything. And you are my guru. I decided that day that I will take Diksha from you. And you are so merciful that you gave us Diksha. So Prabhupada, when you went to one side, my husband came to other side and tried to offer you garland. And everybody says, not here, not here. And you stop everybody and you said, no, let him offer. So you are always merciful to all conditioned souls. And then he started praying obeisances right there. And everybody says, not here, because it was in the lobby. So Prabhupada says, no, let him pay obeisances. And then Prabhupada, you lift up your right foot and put it on my husband's head. And that was our first meeting with you, Prabhupada. So merciful, be merciful. Please, Prabhupada, Hari Bol.
Ajnanitimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam jena tasmai shri guruve namaha. So, Srila Prabhupada once gave a lecture on the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And there he mentions that the appearance and the disappearance of the Acharya, there's no difference. The Acharya is spreading the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he leaves the world, he continues to do that in some other place. So Srila Prabhupada described that the activities of the Acharya are Nitya Leela, like Krishna's Nitya Leela. His service to Krishna continues. When it's no longer 6 o'clock in Vrindavan, it doesn't mean that 6 o'clock is finished. Somewhere it is 6 o'clock.
Right.
And in the same way, when the Acharya leaves, somewhere he's again spreading the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I understand it a little different. Srila Prabhupada was always in the spiritual world. It's not that he went to the spiritual world. Where did he go? He went to continue to spread the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the interesting thing that Srila Prabhupada mentioned during that lecture is that when the Acharya goes to some other place to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya, his sincere followers, they go and join him. Yeah? So the question is, how do we become sincere? How do we become qualified to join Srila Prabhupada? Again, to help him. One time a devotee met Srila Prabhupada and he said that, Srila Prabhupada, I want to explain to you about my preaching. And Prabhupada corrected him. No, I am preaching, you're assisting me. We're assisting Srila Prabhupada in his preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chiefly by distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Mahaman Prabhu mentioned a wonderful thing. That when Prabhupada was asked, what will happen to this movement when you die? The reporter asked. And Srila Prabhupada said, I will never die because I will live forever in my books. The best preacher in our movement, even today, is Srila Prabhupada. And the best preaching that we can do is give Srila Prabhupada's books to the fallen conditioned souls so they can have an opportunity to awaken their Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. But another small interesting thing I'd like to mention. I said earlier that Srila Prabhupada was always in the spiritual world. When Satsvarup Maharaj wrote the Lilamrita, he collected a lot of information. He wrote 7 volumes. But there were so many other interesting things that the devotees related to him, so he wrote these other books called Drops of Nectar. Besides the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, there were Drops of Nectar. Little red books. I don't know if they're not in print now. Little red book. And short little chapters about incidences that happened. So one of those Drops of Nectar I'd like to share with you. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, originally it came in 16 volumes, I think. So one after another, the volumes were coming. And the devotees, when they got one volume, they would eagerly read and then wait for the next volume. So one of the devotees was reading the chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the conversation where Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya are trading funny conversation, very funny conversation. At one point, Advaita Acharya told Lord Nityananda he's a rejected Paramahamsa. So the devotee thought this was such a funny. It was interesting and funny. So he told Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, your books are so, they make us happy and they're funny to read, these interesting stories. And Srila Prabhupada turned and said, yes, there's humor in the spiritual world. And Srila Prabhupada began to relate a story about Krishna. He said that Krishna was standing there with the gopis, and one old lady walked by. So Krishna told the old lady, you know, you're so ugly, you should marry a monkey. And the old lady looked at Krishna with folded hands, and she told Krishna, my heart is completely pure. I cannot marry anybody but you. And the gopis all began to laugh. They laughed so hard they were slapping their legs, and yes, yes, you should marry him, yes. And Srila Prabhupada, as he was telling the story, his eyes were becoming very wide, and he became very animated and very alive. And then he concluded the story by saying, you see, Krishna is defeated simply by the laughing of the gopis. He's defeated. So that story clarifies to me, Srila Prabhupada was always with Krishna, always in the spiritual world. And his leaving means that he went somewhere else to spread the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we develop a little sincerity, we can join him. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakrurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschayatadishatarini. Srila Prabhupada Tirubhav Tithi Mahamahosav ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगा. बहुत सारे लीला यहाँ अलग अलग जगह का, लेकिन वृंदावन का ही कुछ. कितना समय? How much time?
5 minutes, Maharaj. 5 minutes.
आवाज़ कट गया. आवाज़ निकालेगा. 1976 में मैं नया भक्त था. हिज होलीनेस लोकनाथ स्वामी महाराज और हंसोत्तम महाराज के बस पार्टी में ज्वाइन हुए थे कश्मीर में. अब बाद में इधर आए, परमिट ख़त्म हो जाने के बाद तो यहाँ रहा. तो डीटी किचन में कृष्ण बलराम प्रभु इंचार्ज थे और प्रेसिडेंट थे अख्यानंद महाराज. तो मुझे कुकिंग के लिए बोले सहायता करो. मैं बोला मैं अभी दीक्षा नहीं हुआ है, कैसे करूं. तो श्रील प्रभुपाद के पास जाकर शिकायत की, वो नहीं आना चाहता है. तो श्रील प्रभुपाद बोले बुलाओ. तो मैं गया, प्रणाम किया. कृष्ण बलराम को जरा सहायता करो. प्रभुपाद में दीक्षा नहीं हुई, डीटी किचन में. बोला हाँ कोई बात नहीं, हाँ करो. तो थोड़ा सहायता किया, आ गया. उसके बाद फिर आके रूम में जप करने लगा. गेस्ट हाउस में पहला मंजिला में थे, कृष्ण बलराम प्रभु के रूम में. तो दोबारा मूंगफली को जरा फ्राई कर देना है. तो मैं बोला मूंगफली ठीक, अभी समय नहीं प्रभु जी. फिर जाके प्रभुपाद के पास बोले कृष्ण बलराम प्रभु जी, वो आना नहीं चाहता है, माला नहीं हुआ है मेरा अभी तक, बुलाओ इधर. दोबारा फिर बुलाए, जाके दोनों प्रणाम किए प्रभुपाद को. तो श्रील प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं मूंगफली जरा फ्राई कर दो. बोला ठीक, फ्राई के. तो हंसोत्तम महाराज जर्मनी से पहला घी आता था उस समय, 1976 की बात है, 17 किलो का टिपा। तो एक पीपा दिया। मेरे पास एक बोरा 80 किलो मूंगफली को, उस पर कैसा बहुत समय लगेगा, और एक दे दो। तो नहीं दिया। तो मैंने बोला ऐसा बनाया, समय नहीं है अभी। फिर आके रूम में आ गया। फिर जब करते रहा तो प्रभुपाद के बाद फिर वो शिकायत किया 3 बार। तो प्रभुपाद बोले बुलाओ इसको। फिर जब प्रभुपाद के पास गए, प्रणाम के, जरा मूंगफली को फ्राई कर दो ना। बोला श्रील प्रभुपाद वो तेल जैसा मालिश करने के बराबर होगा, फ्राई बहुत समय लगेगा उसमें, अभी 10 बज गया। तो हंसुता को बुलाओ। हंसुता थे उधर। वाई ने गी बटर आगे कैंट वट एवर कुक से यू। तो फिर मेरी पूछे कितना चाहिए, बोला 2 पीपा चाहिए। तो और 1 पीपा ला दिए। तो फ्राई करके वहाँ दे दिया। अब प्रभुपाद बोले तुम फ्राई करो, आप नहा धो के मेरे पास इधर आ जाओ। प्रभुपाद क्वार्टर में जाके फिर जब पका रहे थे। फिर वो एकादशी आटे का पूड़ी, सिंगाड़े आटा का पूड़ी बनाने में वहाँ तकलीफ हो रहा था। फिर चौथा बार बुलाए कृष्ण बलराम प्रभु। फिर मैं बोला प्रभु जी आज सबको बोले हैं 64 माला करो, जिसका सेवा नहीं है, नहीं तो 25 करो, 16 तो करना ही है, लेकिन मेरा केवल 3 माला हुआ है। वो जाके शिकायत फिर कर दिए, वो दूसरा को नहीं आता है। तो फिर जब बुलाए, जाके प्रणाम किया, तो श्रील प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं जरा पूड़ी बनाने, बाकी लोग को नहीं आता, जरा कर दो। प्रभुपाद मेरा केवल 3 माला हुआ है, जाओ पूड़ी बनाओ, तुम्हारा 13 माला मैं करूँगा। तो प्रभुपाद और तुम जा पूड़ी बना के नहा धो के मेरे पास आना। फिर हम बैठे तो पूड़ी बना दिया। 2-3 असिस्टेंट ले गए, बना दिए। और प्रभुपाद के पास वहाँ बैठे। तो अब अभिषेक का समय, तो उस समय सब सन्यासी लोग मुझे घूर घूर के देख रहे हैं। तमाल कृष्ण महाराज, भवानंद महाराज, ब्रह्मानंद महाराज सब इधर थे। हमारे ईश्वर गोपाल कृष्ण महाराज बम्बई में थे, नहीं थे उसमें। तो प्रभुपाद पुजारी फिर बुलाने आए अभिषेक के लिए। मुझे बोलता चलो। तो गुरु कृपा देखो, मैं नया भक्त हूँ, मुझे राधाष्टमी बाद में दीक्षा हुआ दिल्ली में 1976। 2 मिनट। तो वहाँ पर अभिषेक में ले गए। तो 11 घड़ा घी, दूध, दही ऐसा करके सब भरा हुआ था। 3 वाल्टर में प्लास्टिक सजा के पाइप द्वारा लगाए थे, और बड़ा डीटी को अभिषेक होता था। तो प्रभुपाद किए 5 मटका शायद मेरे ख्याल से। तमाल कृष्ण श्रीधर महाराज सब पकड़े थे, प्रभुपाद बीच में, और अभिषेक कृष्ण बलराम। तो गुरु कृपा से सन्यासी जब जा रहा था, अंदर घुस रहा है, मैं प्राण पहला दिखा भी नहीं, लेकिन गुरु कृपा देखो मुझे ले गए। मैं सब इससे अभिषेक करो। तो सन्यासी लोग ऐसे घुर घुर के देख रहे हैं मुझे। बोला कोई बात नहीं। गुरु जब प्रभुपाद का कृपा हो गया, तो गुरु मुखा पद्म के चित्ते ना करिए आके। तो गुरु वाणी जो है, गुरु पूजा में हर दिन गाते हैं, गुरु कृपा हो जाने से सब कुछ हो जाता है। ऐसे गोस्वामी जी यही बताए, हरिनाम, ये हरिनाम के द्वारा हम मन को शुद्धि रख सकते हैं, अदर वे नहीं। सेवा करो, लेकिन हरिनाम नहीं करोगे तो कुछ फायदा नहीं। तो आज गुरु महाराज का तिरुभाव तिथि है। तो जन्मदिन और तिरुभाव, आविर्भाव तिरुभाव दोनों को समान रूप से मनाते हैं। जन्म कर्म चमे दिव्यम जो में व्यक्ति तत्व है। तो भगवान का ये चारों चीज़ को समझ जाने से, तो आज भी हम लोग देखो हाँ कई प्रकार के प्रसाद है, भगवान के केक सब बनाए थे गुरु को प्रसन्न करने के लिए। तो और बाकी लोग को समय भी है, मुझे अब सूचना मिल गया, समय कम, बहुत बोलने को तो बहुत है, लेकिन यहाँ मैं अपना वाणी विराम कर रहा हूँ। बहुत सारी लीलाएँ हैं, कुंभ मेला का लीला है, बम्बई का लीला है, दिल्ली का लीला है, बहुत सारे है, मायापुर का भी है। तो श्रील प्रभुपाद के कृपा से है। श्रील प्रभुपाद तिरुभाव तिथि महामहोत्सव की, श्रील प्रभुपाद तिरुभाव तिथि महामहोत्सव की, श्रील प्रभुपाद तिरुभाव तिथि महामहोत्सव की। हरे कृष्णा।
अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ये मानव जीवन बहुत दुर्लभ है, ऐसा अभी बताया गया था और पहले भी सुनते हैं हम लोग। और कृष्ण की कृपा से ये मानव जीवन हमें मिला है और प्रभुपाद जी की कृपा से हमें प्रभुपाद जी मिले हैं। खास करके जो पश्चिमी देश के भक्त हैं उनको प्रभुपाद जी ने कहा था कि आप भक्ति में आए हैं, मेरे कारण आए हैं। प्रभुपाद जी ने ऐसा कहा है। आपका भाग्य नहीं था भक्ति में आने का, मेरे कारण आप भक्ति में आए हैं। प्रभुपाद जी के ऐसे वचन हैं ये। एक पॉइंट और मुझे याद आ रहा था, जब हम बोलते हैं नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारने निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। प्रभुपाद जी ने केवल पाश्चात्य देशों को ही नहीं तारा है, केवल पाश्चात्य देश में ही हिप्पी नहीं थे, भारतवर्ष में भी हिप्पी बनने लोग शुरू हो गए थे उस समय। तो भारतवर्ष के लोगों को भी उन्हें तारा है। ठीक है, ब्रजवासी अयोध्यावासी और कुछ लोगों को छोड़ करके बाकी जितने भी हमारे भारतवर्षीय हैं जो भारतवर्ष में पैदा हुए हैं वो भगवान के अनन्य भक्त शुद्ध भक्त नहीं थे वो कोई भी। जैसे भगवान ने कहा है माम एकम शरणम ब्रज मनमना भक्त भक्तो मत जाजी माम, मुझे ही नमस्कार करो, मेरे भक्त बनो, मुझे याद करो। ऐसा कौन कर रहा था भारतवर्ष में? आधे लोग जय माता की, आधे लोग ओम नमो शिवाय, आधे लोग भैरों की पूजा कर रहे हैं, आधे लोग आजकल तो साईं बाबा की पूजा भी शुरू हो गई है। तो कहाँ थी शुद्धता? अनन्य भक्ति कहाँ थी? जब अनन्य भक्ति नहीं है तो भगवत धाम कैसे जाएंगे? बैक होम बैक टू गॉड कैसे जाएंगे? भगवत गीता का घर घर में भगवत गीता है, लेकिन कौन उसका आचरण कर रहा है? अनन्य भक्ति कौन कर रहा है? केवल प्रभुपाद जी की कृपा से भारतवर्ष के लोगों ने भी अनन्य भक्ति शुरू कर दी है, उससे पहले नहीं होती थी। तो प्रभुपाद जी का जो कर्जा है पूरी दुनिया के लोग नहीं चुका सकते और ना ही भारतवर्ष के लोग भी चुका सकते हैं। भारतवर्ष के लोगों को भी बड़ा ये कर्जा है प्रभुपाद जी का, और कर्जा हम उतार नहीं सकते हैं। लेकिन जैसे चैतन्य चरितमृत में कहा गया है कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु जी ने तो भक्ति लता बीज उगाया, आम उगाए, उनको बांटा खूब। उसके बाद अपनी बारी में हमारे पूर्वजाचार्यों ने भी भक्ति रूपी आम को बांटा। प्रभुपाद जी ने पूरे दुनिया में ये भक्ति रूपी आम बांटा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। तो कर्जा तो हम नहीं उतार सकते प्रभुपाद जी का, लेकिन इसका और ज़्यादा प्रचार करें। जहाँ जहाँ अभी भी देखा जाए तो पूरे भारतवर्ष, विदेशों को तो छोड़िए, पूरे भारतवर्ष में भी सब जगह कृष्ण भावनामृत नहीं है। उनको अगर हम कृष्ण भावनामृत दे सकते हैं, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र का प्रचार कर सकते हैं, प्रभुपाद जी की भगवद गीता बांट सकते हैं, तो इससे ज़्यादा और प्रिय बनने का और कोई रास्ता नहीं है। प्रभुपाद जी का प्रिय बन सकते हैं, भगवान के हम प्रिय बन सकते हैं। क्योंकि मैं दिल्ली से हूँ
दिल्ली में राधा पार्थसारथी तो आ गए थे बहुत पहले 71 में ही, लेकिन आम लोग वो भारतवर्षीय हैं, दिल्ली के लोग वो नहीं आए थे। तो वहाँ पर ज़्यादा प्रचार शुरू किया। उस वक्त को हम भूल नहीं सकते हैं। वो हैं कौन? तेजस प्रभु। तेजस प्रभु अब हमारे अंदर नहीं है यहाँ पर आए हुए, लेकिन उनका बड़ा योगदान है, फाउंडेशन है वो। और तेजस प्रभु के जाने के बाद लोकनाथ स्वामी जी दिल्ली में खूब प्रचार किए और हम भी उनकी शरण में रहे, हमें भी गाइड किया। हमारे गाइड रहे प्रभुपाद जी के साथ साथ लोकनाथ महाराज भी हमारे गाइड रहे। उसके बाद परम पूजनीय गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी के शरण में हम आगे भक्ति में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। तो और ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा, गाय बोल चुकी है, यहाँ पर मैं विश्राम करता हूँ। बोलिए हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। धन्यवाद सबका।
So I'm chanting the Mangalacharan for Prabhupada because today is special day. We are doing the Abhishek, Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So this stotra is very dear to Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was here, he always, for Pandit, he's asking to chant this stotra. So now I'm chanting this. So because Abhishek is already ready to start, so then after I will not speak. Krishnayka chetamadamoha vinasakarin madrishti gauchara prabhu Prabhupada Swami dosha pavirti paridoshita manda buddhi sanchintayami charanam tava bhakti eto Vrindavan Ramana Reti Prasiddha Bhuma Tatra Krishna Balarama Subhada Mule Jnanam Param Parama Krishna Sudami Yuktam Dantastudaiva Prabhupada Namo Namaste 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 Kripa Bhuma Draste Namaste Namaste Ananda Date Namo Namami Punaraksha Raksha Vide Videvo Daksha Dakshaha Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Pasannaya Pasannaya Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Banga Bhumi Janabhushana Gaura Leela Gauranga Bhava Parisharana Matra Shila Radha Mukunda Pada Padma Mano Vilasin Ananda Vashi Prabhupada Namo Namaste Ananda Vashi Prabhupada Namo Namaste Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki तब श्रील प्रभुपाद तिरुभाव महा उत्सव की जय।
ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे अजानुलंबितो भुजाओ कनकावदातो संकीर्तन के पितरो कमलाय दाक्षो विश्वंबरो द्विजबरो युगधर्म पालो वंदे जगत प्रिय करो करुणावतारो करुणावतारो करुणावतारो। Hare Krishna. I'm going to tell you a story today. Today morning, one of Srila Prabhupada's dearmost disciple called me at 3 a.m. in the morning and he told me the story. And Srila Prabhupada, I'm going to tell everybody this story. He called me and he said, after the Mayapur incident, before Srila Prabhupada, this happened 3 days before Srila Prabhupada left this planet, he called the Mayapur leaders to his room and he said, and he asked them, are you still enthusiastic to develop Sridham Mayapur? are you still enthusiastic to develop Sridham Mayapur? Are you still enthusiastic to develop Sridham Mayapur? This was the last words of Srila Prabhupada to the Mayapur leaders. And the leaders said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, we are enthusiastic to develop Sridham Mayapur. And today I can tell you, Srila Prabhupada, under the leadership of Ambrish Prabhu, the whole TOP team is very much enthusiastic to develop Sridham Mayapur as the international headquarters as you desired, Srila Prabhupada. Not only the TOP leaders, the Mayapur management, in fact the whole ISKCON leaders and the whole Vaishnava community is behind this project, Srila Prabhupada. Also, Srila Prabhupada, you said how to build this temple. You said sources of fund means we collect from all over the world and all of our branches will gladly contribute. And I am today standing here, Srila Prabhupada, as a testimony, as a witness that every leader in ISKCON society is helping, showing solidarity and support to this project, Srila Prabhupada, without which we could not have built this, Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to personally thank His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Janardhan Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas assembled here, Vedavyas Priya Maharaj, who had helped us to build this temple of Vedic Planetarium. We are very, very grateful. And lastly, Srila Prabhupada, it would not be justice while I am having the mic, not asking for donations. So we have still 11 more coins to go. As Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Maharaj has shown the Srila Prabhupada coin, and we are giving that coin for free, but asking for a donation of 1,25,000 in 2 years. You can fulfill your pledges, 5,000 rupees a month. Please visit us. You have just 11 more coins to go. Prabhupada, we are grateful for all the opportunity given, and we will do anything possible for your pleasure, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Maharaj is enthusiastically saying where to contact. We have a booth opposite to Srila Prabhupada quarters, and we are today, without finishing this 11 coins, we are not going home. Please visit us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.